Welcome to another edition of the Metalarkers. I sort of feel like we need a number for these, like Metalarkers 1, 2. I don't know what, we can keep track of these, but we don't have Kate Fagan today. She is celebrating her birthday. Happy birthday to Kate. Kate is like 3,000 years old. She's like an eternal, but she looks 20. Just a secret. We do have Amin El Hassan, as always. We've got our fearless leader, Dan LeBatard, filling in as well. I like to call this episode the dumpster fire potluck because last week it has been a week, and I wanted to start with our good friend Scottie Pippen. I mean, you know Scottie very well. You have interviewed Scottie. Last week we had Scottie do shot number one at Michael Jordan. It was the flu game, the legendary flu game, where he said, "Is it easier to play with a herniated disc or the flu? Come on, it's the flu." Right? So that's shot number one. And then shot number two, we know that Scottie is selling his book Unguarded, but I'm going to read to you what he said about his dynasty going up against the Warriors dynasty. "I'll stack our roster against the Warriors any day, especially our second three-peat teams. Let's go through the matchups. Dennis Rodman or Draymond Green at power forward? Dennis. Luke Longley or Andrew Bogut / JaVale McGee at center? Luke. Michael Jordan or Klay Thompson at shooting guard? Michael. Me or Kevin Durant at small forward? You could go either way."
Mm-hmm.
The only matchup clearly in Golden State's favor would be Steph Curry over Ron Harper at point guard. One more thing, the Warriors had nobody off the bench as skilled as Tony Kukoc. Now, we know that Scottie Pippen has gone like a scorched earth tour the last year or so. I mean, what did you make of him putting himself side by side as a pick'em with Kevin Durant?
I think it's consistent with everything that we know about Scottie, which is he feels like his legacy and what he accomplished on the basketball court has been erased in a wash of Michael Jordan field nostalgia. And the farther we get away from 1996, 97, 98, the farther we get away from people who were actually alive and kicking and aware watching Scottie play. And it becomes just this revisionist history that it was Michael and the Jordanaires. And I think Scottie feels that vulnerability, as the eminent scholar Sean Carter once said, "A world with amnesia won't forget my name." Right? It's the idea is that people have forgotten what Scottie did and what he represented. And so I think in an effort to correct that, he veers very far in the opposite direction. And, scorched earth is the right term, Howard. You talk about he's taking out Michael Jordan, he's taking out Kevin Durant, he's going across the board here.
Howard, why is he so angry? I mean, first of all, the first thing that he's doing wrong there is he's remembering Luke Longley a hell of a lot more fondly than I'm remembering Luke Longley. If he thinks that it's a decided thing.
Exactly. It's a wrap with Luke Longley.
But why Pippen? What is happening with Pippen here that he would be this kind of embittered? They did an awful lot of winning for that.
Yeah, and what's been funny about that, Dan, is that if you go back into the Scottie Pippen archive, he has said over and over again that team was untouchable. He has said over and over again that Michael Jordan was untouchable. He had Isaiah Thomas at one point last year said that LeBron was a better player than Michael, and Scottie laughed it off, obviously, because it was Isaiah, because he's never going to give Isaiah any credit for anything. But I think what it is that I think The Last Dance has been a real accelerant. I think The Last Dance was something that I never thought The Last Dance was false advertising. I thought that it was always going to be a Michael Jordan story.
I thought it was just advertising, not false. Just a 10-episode Nike commercial that everybody loved.
Right. I mean, so I never went into that thinking that we were going to get the Chicago Bulls story. I always thought it was Michael's story. But yet Scottie has taken that as, "You're erasing me." Mm-hmm. And there's something in this at first when we were talking about this, and when I was talking about this with Bomani last week, at first I thought it was just funny. At first it was just like, oh, come on, man. Are you really putting yourself side by side with Kevin Durant?
Oh, no, it's sad. There's some sad. This makes me sad, Howard.
Yeah, there's something poignant about this. And what it is that I've always said you protect your own time. And Amin is right. There's going to come a point in time where people never saw Scottie Pippen play. And Pippen right now, despite being on the 50 great list, despite being a perennial all-star, despite everything that he's done, there is a fear that I sense from him that he's getting erased, and that you're putting me in Luke Longley territory over time, that Batman and Robin, that game is gone, that it's now just Batman. And what about me? And when I think about this, I think I sent you a text about this yesterday, Dan, where it said, we remember the gladiators, right? Well, actually, we don't. There are a gazillion gladiators. We remember a couple of them. And Scottie feels like he's in danger of getting erased at the expense of Michael Jordan. And there is something real sad about that. And there's something sort of inevitable about it.
You say it at the expense of Michael Jordan, but this sounds like the bitterness of someone who's saying I'm being erased by Michael Jordan.
Exactly.
Because,
That's even better.
Because I put my trust in the hands. I put my trust on my story in the hands of Michael, and his level of anger on this seems to indicate that he thought that was going to be a celebration of that team, which would have to be a celebration of him, and it was not a celebration of that team.
I mean, it was, but it just wasn't to the extent that it was a celebration of Michael. It was they celebrated the Bulls, but it was a much bigger celebration of Michael. One of the things he pointed out he was irritated by was the fact that Michael Jordan got paid $10 million to do The Last Dance and nobody else got anything. I said, but that's because he's an executive producer. He didn't get paid a fee to appear in the documentary. He owns the documentary, or he's a part owner of the documentary. There's a big difference there, and I think that also colors the way that when you think about how that story was told, it reminds me of the old Chappelle Show sketch where he figured out that Antoine Fisher was written by Antoine Fisher. And he said, wait a second, if I wrote Dave Chappelle, the Dave Chappelle movie, I'd have some pretty incredible things in there. And so, it's like it makes sense that The Last Dance comes out looking like it does because it was in effect made by the guy who it is glorifying. And so for Scottie, again, it's a concept of erasure that was already happening by the passage of time, right? In the same way that once upon a time, I remember the big argument was who's the greatest power forward of all time, Karl Malone or Charles Barkley? Nobody cared that neither of those guys had won any championships. And by the 2000s, that conversation's out the door. Part of it because Tim Duncan came along, but part of it is also because of the rings culture. There's a quote that Scottie came out with the other day that I want to read here. And it's crazy because behind every one of these quotes, there's a kernel of he's not 100% wrong. And so this one he said, quote, in the 80s, on the playgrounds, you'd have everyone moving the ball around, passing to help the team. That stopped in the 90s. Kids wanted to, quote, be like Mike. Well, Mike didn't want to pass, rebound, and defend the best. Now, clearly, that last sentence is where he gets ornery and strikes back, because we know that Mike, of course, passed the ball, and of course he rebounded, and of course he took it upon himself to defend the best. But he's not wrong with the beginning of that quote. And we see it in our league. We see it in a player like Kobe Bryant, where he's lionized for being awful in the clutch. Not awful in the sense of wanting to take the shot, but awful in the sense that his efficiency wasn't great.
But where's the disrespect on Scottie Pippen's career? I see Klay Thompson is hurt because he's not in the top 75. Where's the disrespect on Scottie Pippen's career that I'm missing?
The disrespect is that we don't talk about him. The disrespect is when we're having these conversations, who's the greatest, who impacted winning, who won how many rings. His name doesn't come up.
He wasn't the best player on his own team. Like, he just wasn't.
Yeah, and it's time. It really is time. As much as I respect what Scottie Pippen is sort of saying in terms of protecting himself, we were there, man. There was Michael. It wasn't a side-by-side thing. Michael Jordan was the best player on that team. When Michael Jordan wasn't on that team was not necessary. They were not a championship favorite. And Scottie's got to take a little bit of an L on this, right? And what I find fascinating about this is that not only is it just Scottie versus Michael, but now you're going to put yourself in Kevin Durant territory. Hang on one quick second. I believe you can make this argument. You can say it no matter how many times and not be and not get laughed out of the building. Kevin Durant is the greatest offensive player who has ever played the game. You could make that argument and not get laughed out of the building. That includes Kareem, that includes Michael, that includes Wilt, that includes all of them. When it's all said and done, you're going to be able to make that argument. And so I think that Scottie, where he's at right now, is I think there's just a lot of pain there. I think there's a lot of pain about being erased.
It's that, but is that delusion? Is that ego? Is that confidence?
Oh, yes.
Is it insecurity wrapped in the camouflage of confidence?
I think it's insecurity, but I think also it's how I frame myself is how I will be perceived. It's like new companies that want to put out luxury items and say, hey, this is just as good as a Gucci sweatshirt. So what am I going to price my sweatshirt? Around a comparable price as the luxury items, the Gucci's, the Pradas, whatever, because you want to be looked at in that air. In the same way as if he compares himself to Paul George, then it doesn't bring the prestige that he's looking for. He's trying to frame himself in a conversation among the elites. Michael, Curry, Durant, me. That's what he's looking for. He's trying to place himself on the same shelf.
Yeah, two things here. They're the ones you remember, right? This is that when you reach a point, I remember my dad used to say all the time, you never saw football unless you saw Jim Brown play. Well, I guess I never saw football. Jim Brown retired before I was born, right? So who do we remember? And when you start thinking about those names, the memories, the storytelling, the legend, that's all he's got left. And if that starts to get erased, he gets erased. But one thing for you, Dan, on this, when you're listening to all of this, how do you feel about Scottie Pippen right now when you're taking all of this in total?
It bums me out because I'm also adding to this the context of reports of money, issues with money combined with the selling of liquor and books, and then all the internet whispering that you get around whatever his personal life is with his former wife, dating other basketball players in a way that has caused him, I would imagine, some public shame.
There's some trauma here.
And so I see someone and I hear someone who sounds to me like he is hurting, and the mortality of all this, as hard as it is to age when your identity is wrapped up in this stuff and just simply retire, to be 20 years from your best days and have to basically shout at everyone to get your respect or say things that make headlines to get your respect. Again and again, what I feel is just sad for Scottie Pippen that the winning doesn't make him happier 2 decades later.
By the way, I just want to point out, him fighting for the memory of his legacy is hardly a Scottie Pippen specific thing. This is something that afflicts all former athletes. A buddy of mine is a scout, and he remembers a story about going to the Portsmouth Invitational, which is this camp where the top seniors in the country go to for a chance to get invited to the Chicago Combine. And he's sitting there, and there's another scout and say, "Hey, watch this. You want me to get Elgin going?" Elgin Baylor walks up. He said, "Elgin, I was talking to Oscar the other day. He said he kicked your ass every time you guys saw each other on the court." And Elgin became very flustered and upset, and that's bullshit and da-da-da. And they said the next day, this is in Portsmouth, Virginia, Elgin showed up to the gym with newspaper clippings of him dominating Oscar and dominating. He carries these around, like original newspaper clippings. He had these on his person at all times because he never knew when he was going to run into someone who tried to erase his memory. Remember, Elgin was the original great guy, never won the big one, though. And he retired famously at the beginning of the 68-69 season, and that's the year the Lakers finally won. So what Scottie's going through here, I don't think it's isolated or even super extreme compared to what other former greats have done. I just think we operate in an era where he's got social media and he's got 100 television stations and a million outlets will say these things.
Well, how much of this, though, Howard, is competitionaholics always needing competition, and where do you find your competition when you're over 50 years old?
Right.
Is you don't just put that away when it's been who you are all your life.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't go away. And also and when you're fighting over memory, now you can't even put it side by side because you're both in your 60s, right? It's done. All of it is done. Quick correction for you. I mean, that was 71-72 for Elgin. Celtics won the title in 68-69.
I'm sorry.
Make you look bad, bro. I got you back.
That 69 was bring the balloons down one at a time, right?
That's right. There's Jack Kent Cook doing that. But yeah, I mean, Dan, 100%. I remember when I was in high school, 14, 15 years old, freshman year, and I remember the old guys talking. I would make a jump shot or something, and one of the guys would say something like, that looked like Hal Greer. And I said, who's Hal Greer? Right? And I'm like, no, dude, I'm Sleepy Floyd, man. I'm Sleepy Floyd, right? And so I remember another guy was like, oh, man, that shot looked like Wally Jones. Who's Wally Jones? And so if you're Scottie Pippen, you've got to put yourself in that conversation at all times. Because if you don't, even though you're in the Hall of Fame, they're going to forget about you because, they forget about everybody. There was something that happened in the 8th century. And people in the 8th century said, nobody's ever going to forget this. And we have no idea what they're talking about. It didn't survive.
I don't think you realize how few people right now listening to this are like, who the fuck is Sleepy Floyd?
Right? I mean, and that is chilling, right? Because what do you mean?
Oh, but for the immortals to be mortal, right? It's not, it's just for the immortals to be dealing with the mortality of everything that comes with 50 years old, and also the darkening shadow of, and they might forget you. You better hurry up and write a book to remind them.
Well, that's right. And that's like, go ahead, Amin.
Well, I'm just saying real quick, in Scottie's case, he's fighting 2 battles because one is the natural attrition of time that all the greats fought, right? They all worry about being forgotten. But in Scottie's case, he's got the single most marketable athlete in the history of the world.
He's going to beat Michael.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just time that is beating his ass. It's Michael Jordan.
Oh, but how frustrating, though, for him to want to really just what he wants here is gratitude, correct? Mm-hmm. He feels an
appreciation
of gratitude from the guy who he believes he helped build.
That's right.
He does not believe that Michael did that alone. He believes
Michael didn't need him. Michael.
I would argue that he's not looking for gratitude from Mike. He's looking for appreciation from all of us.
And I'm going to argue
what he did.
Yeah, and I'm going to argue to that it's a bottomless cup, and I don't think it can be filled. I think Scottie Pippen, people who saw him play knew Scottie Pippen was the real deal. It's just not going to be enough. But he can take comfort in the Albert Brooks quote, they're going to forget about all of us.
I remember just recently Conan O'Brien, who's gone through all sorts of transitions professionally, was standing over the grave of Calvin Coolidge and is like, when's the last time anyone talked about Calvin Coolidge?
No, exactly. Speaking of, Dan, you're talking about that competitiveness and where does that go? So we got December 18th in Tampa. We've got this epic battle on the undercard of the Jake Paul Tommy Fury fight. You've got Frank Gore, all-time number 3 leading rusher in NFL history, who's actually a free agent right now, who can still play, who supposedly has turned down offers to go back to the NFL this year because he wants to train for an upcoming fight against Deron Williams, the Utah Jazz former 3-time All-Star, played for the Nets. These 2 guys are going to go at it. And all I'm going to say is this. Could somebody Dan, can you make sense of this for me? I'm just going to set this up for you. That Frank Gore is 38 years old. Deron Williams is 37 years old. Frank Gore is still wanted to play in his sport. Teams still need running backs, and he's still active. Deron Williams made $157 million in his career. So traditionally, when we've had these conversations, it's usually been that these athletes go and do these things out of desperate financial need. Neither one of these guys need the money. Can you give me some idea of what this is all about?
I always assume that there is some money relation to any of these sort of things where someone would enter into an experience outside of their realm of expertise where there is great potential for them to be embarrassed. I'm willing, though, to hear any theories that you guys have on the need of the adrenaline rush to be on the high wire, to be in the middle of the gladiator spectacle. There are a couple of things that people consistently, and you've, I'm sure, noticed this in your reporting, Howard, when you talk to athletes about what they miss the camaraderie of the locker room, and to a man, they say, I cannot fill the adrenaline rush of game day with anything else in my life. There is nothing I can find. So if I make it a boxing match, if you're telling me it's not about money, I always assume it's about money. But if you're telling me it's not about money, it's for the junkie fix of I need to strip myself down to nothing but my individual courage, and I need to compete against another man at something.
Yeah, I mean, when I looked at this, I immediately thought the same thing you did, that there's got to be a money thing here. But then you look at the dollars and you look at the fact that Frank Gore is still needed. Adrian Peterson's out there playing football right now. This isn't Joe Louis racing or fighting. This isn't Jesse Owens racing a horse because he's broke and the IRS is after him, right? This isn't what's going on here. This is something else. And one of the things that I sort of looked at was, one, the idea of being relevant, that you are used to being seen. I remember one time I was out with a former athlete. We were hanging out one night, and he wasn't necessarily a bad guy in the locker room or in the clubhouse, but certainly was one of those dudes, like most of the players, who are like, I can't wait till I retire, and no more BS and no more media. And then we go out, and all he's doing is trying to make eye contact with somebody to recognize him. Mm-hmm. They don't know what it's. I've been recognized my whole life, and nobody's looking at me. And then the other piece of this that I thought was interesting is that there is something about the spectacle these days that has suddenly become lucrative. You got Jake Paul and Logan Paul, these guys, it has suddenly become a lucrative thing to be part of the sideshow, which used to be beneath professional athletes. I'm a world-class athlete. Why am I going to go out and do this sideshow? I mean, go.
Let me tell you, P.T. Barnum right now is trying his damnedest to come back from the grave. Like, can I capitalize on this circus? I'm going to have a YouTube guy fight against the brother of the heavyweight champ, and the undercard is going to be a former NFL guy and a former NBA guy. This is as... the word spectacle doesn't begin to describe it, but the reality is they're looking for exactly those drugs that you guys are talking about. The drug of gambling, right? Of not gambling in the literal sense, but gambling of, I don't know whether I'm going to succeed or fail. I need that high wire feel of knowing that one false step and I could fall, and the other thing is the idea that these are people who came from the masses to achieve the greatest heights of their profession, of what they chose to do for a living. So when you tell these people, much like when you tell billionaires the word no, it doesn't compute. You almost have to have a level of delusion about you as an athlete, as a pro athlete, to even have become a pro athlete to begin with. So for Deron Williams, who has always had kind of a love for MMA and combat sports, owns a gym in the Dallas area. The idea of, hey man, don't do this. This man will put his fist through your face. On one hand, that doesn't compute, because no, I can do it. They said I would never make the NBA, and I did that, and I did it at one of the highest levels. I'm a 2-time Olympic champion. I've made $100+ million in my career. The other part of it is, yeah, I kind of do want to walk on the edge and know that I could lose. And then the third part is, if this Jake Paul guy is making all this money and he's a nobody, what has he ever done other than make some YouTube videos? I'm actually somebody. Of course I can do this too.
There's another layer to this, though, because both of these guys are younger than all of us here. So they're entering whatever would be about the age where you'd find your midlife crisis. Now, imagine if someone had come into our lives in our late 30s and said, this thing that you've been all your life, that you love, this thing that you are, no more. It's done. It's over. Go live the rest of your life. I remember talking to Robert Smith. I thought he was uniquely qualified to make the transition from football. Retired early from football because he studied medicine and he had a whole world of interests outside of football. He thought he was uniquely qualified. Next thing he knows, he's throwing up in a bucket next to his bed because he's drinking too much in the morning because he has not properly grieved the death of his identity. You talk about guys needing to be recognized, Howard. He had not come to terms with, hey, you used to be blank. You used to be this. To get there in your 30s to you used to be this, you start dealing with some of the stuff Pippen's dealing with in his 50s and his 30s.
Yeah, and it is a real grieving process because none of us, it reminds me of the great exchange between Joe DiMaggio and Marilyn Monroe when she comes back from the USO tour. Joe, you've never heard such cheers. And he says, yes, I have. Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
That's a gangster.
Right.
That's a gangster line.
I mean, but what do you do with that? You want to talk about the price of their golden youths, as Roger Angel would call them, the golden youth, to have to go through this, and you're not even 40? I mean, the one piece of this that I was going to throw to you, Amin, and then go wherever you want to go with this, was there's also something pathetic, shall I say, about watching people past their prime do athletic things. It's like when you hop on social media and you see the 50-year-old guy, videotaping himself at the gym. It's like, this doesn't look the way you think it looks. Yeah. What's it going to look like watching Deron Williams, who's not a professional boxer, go in the ring against Frank Gore, also not a professional boxer? And is it gonna look like two amateurs duking it out when you guys are world class at what you used to do? And isn't this beneath you? I mean, with Jake Paul, sure, this isn't beneath him. He's got nothing.
Right. But in that regard, what used to be something that we looked at as ridicule, as almost like Jake Paul would be the court jester a decade ago, now they're getting acclaim. And I think that's the difference. It's wait a second, you guys are loving up on this guy. Wait till you see me, right? But
more than acclaim, they're getting money. It's lucrative.
I'm reminded of one of my favorite things is songs that are incredibly popular, but people don't realize how incredibly not disappointing, how depressing they are.
There must be a better way to word all of this. Is one of your favorite things.
Yes. So hold on. It's depressing songs that are incredibly popular, but people don't recognize the depression within them. One of them, there's a song that came out, it's probably a decade now, is I Took a Pill in Ibiza. This is one of the biggest pop songs, swept the world. People got drunk and high to this song and sang it at the top of their lungs and never listened to the lyrics, within which the guy who sings it, he had another song about 5 years earlier, and he blew up, and then he was a one-hit wonder. His career didn't take off. So then he ends up writing this song 5 or 6 years later, and it's originally a country song, and in the lyrics are, I'm just a singer who already blew his shot. I get along with old timers because my name's a reminder of a pop song people forgot. And he talks about basically like being depressed and miserable. That's what's happening with all these guys. It's I get along with people who remember watching me at the height of it, but now all I do is sing a sad song. And that's what Deron Williams is doing. That's what Scottie Pippen is doing. They're all searching for that moment in time when I mattered.
Yeah, that is a hard road because that's what time does to everybody. I want to believe that they're just rich and bored and want to fight. I don't know. Maybe you try to take it and make it something else.
It's so much easier to just say they must have money problems. They must have tax problems than to mine this particular terrain of what are you searching for when when your identity gets taken from you and you're used to competing for glory and winning and overcoming odds, and you can't find anything in retirement that gets you as high as the drug of preference from your prime.
Yeah. On that note, Dan, speaking of searching for, how about the gasoline of the true gasoline of the dumpster fire of last week, which is Jon Gruden? What is he searching for? Here's a guy I thought. Now, everyone probably knows this already. Jon Gruden sued not just the NFL, but he sued Roger Goodell for singling him out for the Washington football team email scandal and actively, purposely trying to destroy his career. The argument from Gruden's lawyers is that they sat on these emails for months. They knew what was in them, but they waited for the season to begin to zero in on one person and one person only, Jon Gruden, that the goal was to destroy this man. And it has cost him massive financial hardship. When this story first broke, and we have still not heard from Gruden, that lawsuit announcement last week was the first time that Gruden had made any sort of public statement. We still have not physically heard from him. He's not spoken. I thought he was going to take the waited out, hang in there, good guy routine, where at some point, this was going to move on. There was going to be another scandal, and that he was going to slowly rehabilitate himself back into the league. Not when you sue the commissioner and not when you sue the NFL.
In our present climate in 2021, where people attack others for being privileged, and then the privileged show you that the rebuttal to that is simply be shameless. If you can just be shameless and withstand and be immune to the idea of shame, then you too can get out there and get yours. I'm marveling at the idea of a disgraced coach who made all of his money on football, who was the face and voice of football for a network as the highest paid employee at ESPN, that he would leave draped in the shame of bigotry and misogyny, and he would leave with a lame and curt statement that was just, hey, I never meant to hurt anybody. If I hurt you, I'm sorry. That those would be his last words. And then a month later, after what should have been the shame gets displaced, then it's like, nope, time to go back on the attack. Time to go fight to see if I could go get my name back. What I assume this is partially about is Jon Gruden saying, wait, I don't want this to be the punctuation for me. I want there to be a rebound. I assume that after just getting the settlement money, I assume that he just wants some money as well, which is, what are you shaking your head about, Amin?
I think this is
vigorously.
This is the opposite. It's over, but if I'm going down, I'm bringing all of you bastards with me, because the lawsuit itself is ridiculous on a legal level. Like the idea that, hey, they revealed that I'm a bigot. How dare they? Right? The logic that, oh, I'm the only bigot out of 650,000 emails. Mine are the only bigoted ones. That's not enough to win a lawsuit, but it is enough to file a lawsuit, and it is enough to subpoena those emails, and it is enough for us to go through and see all the other people who work for all the other organizations around the league, including the league office, and the awful stuff they've said. And so what he's trying to do here to me is he's saying, oh, I'm never coming back from this. I will never get another job. So I'm going to get one last haul, one last payday out of this. And if they don't, I will burn everything to the ground with me.
Yeah, I sort of thought that this was Nino Brown, New Jack City, combined with Joe Schultz from Ball 4. I may get fired, but I'm taking you mofos with me, right? If I get fired, I'm taking you with me, right? I mean, it's Clay Davis in The Wire. If I go down, Irv, I ain't going down alone. I mean, we've seen this act before. What I found fascinating about this as a story was the idea that there are certain people who would know better, right? Because everybody gets their second chance. Everybody gets rehabilitated. Everybody knows that the NFL of all leagues is a completely closed business. And once you anger them, there is no USFL, XFL, and there's no place to come back. So for Jon Gruden to take this stroke, that's his way of saying, not only is it a wrap, but I am taking TNT to everything that came before me, right? I mean, Now, you could make the argument. You could make the argument that once the emails came out about him attacking the commissioner, it was a wrap anyway. But we absolutely know there is historical precedent to the guy who keeps his mouth shut. And he just didn't take that route.
A month later, though, a month later, you're going to be somebody who has made his entire fame and name off of not just the sport, but that you love the sport. You love the sport a little bit extra more than the rest of us love the sport. You're going to set fire to everything, not because you were wronged, but simply because you were outed. Like it's not something fictional. We can't debate whether or not Jon Gruden is guilty. He's guilty, and his reaction to being exposed for being guilty is, let me show you how many others here are also guilty, and let me be vindictive against the sport this is not love of sport. This is a guy who had a very good run, who got a ton of riches for having Brian Billick's career record. Brian Billick never got to work again. This guy got the best job in broadcasting and then got an even better job to make him leave broadcasting. He doesn't have a whole lot of reason to feel wronged, given that he's more wrong than anything that was done to him.
Doesn't matter about feeling wrong so much, Dan, as do you believe? I know what Howard is saying is that the history of this league shows that if you keep your mouth shut and you wait long enough, people forget and you get one more crack at it. But Jon Gruden's not a young coach anymore. Beyond all this stuff, there are people talking about this guy's outdated. He doesn't understand the game anymore. The game has changed, and he's trying to coach like it's like 1999. And so the reality is, if you're Jon Gruden playing this very pragmatically, and you see the writing on the wall, they already wanted my ass up out of here anyway. Hey, that's the reason these emails came out. I didn't get fired for not being a good coach. I'm getting fired because the league, someone at the league, has it out for me, right? Now, again, doesn't matter that he's actually guilty for what he was outed on. All that matters is, do you believe I'm going to get another shot? And if the answer is no, then what's to stop me from hitting that red button on the wall? Because, Dan, you could talk to your blue in the face about how much he loves football. You know what he loves more than football? Himself and his bank account.
Well, let me throw two quick things out. One, even if it's over, you destroyed your own reputation. What is Jon Gruden without football? Now, you can say that the emails destroyed his reputation anyway, but he'll have no relationship with the National Football League again, ever, because of this. So when the Buccaneers do their, 25th anniversary championship, is he going to be on the field? No. When NFL Films does their thing on Al Davis and the Raiders and their last Super Bowl appearance, is Jon Gruden going to be? No, it's over. So to me, it's not just that thing where, if I'm going down, I'm taking everybody with me. There's something else there too, which is I'm willing to blow my entire career up in things that I did during it. But I also wanted to throw one quick thing at you, Dan, which is, do you see any connection also with the last scandal that actually covered for Jon Gruden, which is the Aaron Rodgers thing, where we also have there's a mentality here that I am going to position myself as the wronged one. I'm the one who got busted. I'm the one who created this. I'm the one who's got to wear this. But you're the one who did this to me as a strategy.
It's funny in a sport that is so often about accountability that is a pivot. But I do suspect that all of us are afflicted with a certain narcissism. When something horrible happens to us, I don't think it's human nature or instinct. Maybe you're taught, maybe there's imprinting in your patterns, in the way that your parents raised you or something. But I don't think the instinct is to not be defensive. I don't think the instinct is to raise your hand and say, yeah, totally my wrong and only my wrong, 100% my wrong, that this shame that makes you think I'm now a bigot is only my fault. Where can I find the accomplices? especially when you come from privilege, especially when all you've done is jump from job to job because you love football, and clearly you haven't had to do any of the difficult introspection that comes with like terrible crisis. Adversity is not losing in week 5 because your backup cornerback is down. That's what's adversity in your life. This passes for something that I don't know that a lot of us could prepare for, especially if you're brazen enough to think you're so bulletproof that you could put that in writing and it's never going to come back to haunt you.
Yeah, and he's on the witch hunt defense right now, and the witch hunt defense really does not work, especially when you're busted the way you're busted. And also, let's remember one other thing about where Jon Gruden's at. He didn't get fired for those emails because the first set of emails, he survived them. He said he went off on a racist rant on DeMaurice Smith. He was on the sidelines the same weekend. He survived this. What he didn't survive was going toe-to-toe with the commissioner. That second batch is what... That's
what the lawsuit is, that he survived it the first time. Wait a minute, I'm supposed to survive it the second time as well. This guy beat me the second time after I came up, and they bought that whole cockamamie rubber lip story is what I call people who are liars.
I'm reminded of the scene in Succession where Tom is, kind of trying to horse around a little with Greg, and Greg kind of is irritated. I was like, I don't want to do this. This isn't fun for me. And Tom responds, "It's not fun for me either, Greg." And he's talking about the context of the monkeying around right there, but he's really talking about his entire situation. The idea that I'm going to be the fall guy and I'm going to go to prison while Greg is going to, go on and do big things. And I think that's the frustration right there. You ask why he would jeopardize all that, because it's not fun for me either, Greg. This is what's happening to me that I have to just go along with. And unlike Tom, he's got a red button that he's going to push that at least is going to spit some money out for him.
In order to make a Tomlet, you've got to break a few Gregs. I don't have anything better than that. I just love that show, and I love them too as a comedy duo. Howard, do you think that there is anything else interesting that's going to come from that lawsuit? Because I'm dying to see owners deposed. I want to see Roger Goodell deposed. This man, I believe that this league, unlike Howard, I believe that this league is too big to fail. I don't believe that these scandals are bad for the league. I just believe they're more noise for us to talk about, more soap opera to talk about, that any publicity is good publicity because the league is such a television monster for so many different television places and now streaming places that there is no controversy. As long as it's players taking the hit, and the league will take out Tom Brady even on Deflategate, as long as it's players and not owners, this league is fine.
And now you can throw that onto coaches. And I don't know why you lumped me in that other category. I'm with you. I don't think that this is that anything takes this machine, this juggernaut down. What I think is interesting when you say, is anything else going to come of this? Well, you've got a couple things at work that people say they're afraid of, and I'm just going to be like, okay, we'll see. You've got the Washington football scandal happening right now, which is there's concern about discovery there. What is going to be made of that investigation that the NFL took over? When are we going to see the emails? When are we going to find out what we're supposed to know? There's that. Let's not forget, you've got the craziness going on in St. Louis with the Rams and Stan Kroenke. And so people are worried about discovery there. And now with this Gruden lawsuit, there's going to be discovery there. So across the board, there are 3 opportunities happening at the same time for us to find out more about the way the owners think, what's in those emails, who said what, who was using their personal email, who was using the company email. We'll find out all that stuff. Is it going to take the league down? Don't know, but there will be popcorn and lots of lawyer fees on this one.
A story out of Egypt that I imagined really terrifying a lot of people, but especially Stugotz. Thunderstorms bringing scorpions, killed 3, injured 500. Explain to me what's happening there, what I'm not understanding about scorpions and thunderstorms and how it is that you can accidentally die and get wounded by scorpions in a thunderstorm.
Well, the reality is where it rained there, that area normally gets 2/100ths of an inch of rain a year. So this was totally out of the ordinary. And what happens is scorpions are arid, arachnids. They live under rocks and in crevices. When the rain comes, of course, they get flooded out. And they've got to abandon that area, and they're all of a sudden crawling all over the place instead of staying under their rocks and under their little hidden tunnels. Unfortunately, in Egypt, general rule with scorpions is the smaller the scorpion, the more deadly it is. So it's kind of different than what you see with other animals. So, for instance, the king cobra is the largest, deadly snake in the world, very deadly, the only snake that can kill an elephant with one bite. But with scorpions, the smaller the scorpion, the more deadly the scorpion. So we had literally 500 and something people bitten and hospitalized by these scorpions because they're deadly. Now, 3 people did not die from the scorpion bites. The 3 people died from something else that had to do with the flooding and stuff. Nobody actually died from the scorpion bites, but they were in, critical condition, and they had to get antivenin for the scorpion bites because, again, all these scorpions now have kind of crawled out from under their rocks, so to speak, because of the rain being flooded out.
Ron, this almost sounds like a biblical plague. What animal would you be most afraid of there being a plague with?
What animal would I be most when you think of plagues, you're always thinking of invertebrates, some type of insect, right? I mean, scorpions are pretty darn bad. I can't imagine the world all of a sudden crawling with scorpions. The scorpions can reproduce at tremendous rates. If you've ever seen mother scorpions, they have like tons of babies on their backs, and they can be crawling all over the place. And I've been, stung by a scorpion here in Florida, which is not a deadly scorpion, but man, it lit my butt up. So I would hate to think scorpions, because what they do is a lot of people get stung by scorpions when they put on their shoes at night and they leave their shoes outside, because scorpions will go into shoes all the time. So people, put on their sandals or whatever, and they step in, and the scorpion stings them when their foot gets in there. Scorpions turn up everywhere, under pillows, everywhere. So that would be a horrible plague. I wouldn't be as upset with locusts. You hear about the locusts all the time. Yeah, locusts eat all of the vegetation and such, can cause famine, but they're not going to kill you in and of themselves. As a matter of fact, people eat them. In Africa, you see them, they sell them on the side of the road. They dry them out, and they kind of fry them, and then they have them in bags, and you can buy them. So they're actually a source of protein. But scorpions, no, I don't like scorpions.
Ron, what's that feel like?
It feels like a wasp sting type times 10. It's a bad throbbing sting that feels like, somebody's hitting you with a little hammer, and it hurts. It hurts a lot.
Can we do this, Ron, with you? Can you just list the things you've been bitten by or stung by? Can you just go through the entire list? How many? Because there's a crocodile, right, or an alligator? Yes.
Right. Crocodile. Crocodile's got me. I've been bitten, but not severely, by young tigers, a bear. Lots and lots of snakes, but the only venomous snake that ever bit me was a pygmy rattlesnake, and it wasn't even while I was working. I was actually horseback riding, barefoot, jumped off my horse and stepped on it, and it lit me up. That was a horrible, horrible bite. I've been bitten by, I would imagine, several types of spiders. I've never actually seen them bite me, but I've had the bites show up on my hand or on the back of my neck. Just crawling through forests and different types of things, environments like that, and have been bitten by them and only seen the results afterwards. So I couldn't tell you what types of spiders, but most likely spiders from all the symptoms that I had. But one of my worst bites was actually a hyacinth macaw bit me in my thumb, and that really hurts badly. And people think, oh, it's just a parrot. Man, these parrots are just so powerful. A parrot bite is one of the most painful bites you can have, because it goes down to the bone. I mean, these things, they crack Brazil nuts. So you can imagine the power they have in their bills, but people look at them and say, oh, they're cute little parrots. That's not, it's kind of an embarrassing bite to admit to, but it's a horrible bite. Anybody who's been bitten by a parrot will tell you that. Lots of different types of birds. I mean, working with birds have kind of pecked at me. Like I said, a lot of different types of snakes, a couple of lizards. I was bitten by a tegu pretty badly. An iguana got me pretty badly once. I don't know, that's about it.
How many times should you have died, Ron?
It's a great list, Ron. It really is.
Well, no, the only time I really thought I was going to die was with a hippo in Africa. We talked about that thing, and with an elephant in Africa. Those are the only 2 times I really thought I was going to die. But they never bit me. They never even got in contact with me, but it was very close.
You get what you deserve when you go horseback riding with bare feet. The only people that do that are on the cover of romance novels.
It's unbelievable.
Point,
when he
Mike.
said that, thank
Good
you, Mike,
point.
because you seem like such a leathery Lothario on a stallion jumping off of a horse and in your bare feet.
I grew up poor. First of all, I rode bareback. We rode bareback. We didn't have a saddle. Sometimes we put a pad over the shoulder. And
Baby.
no, I'm serious. No, I'm serious. I will say this though. In high school, that was the best way to get a date because I have never been able to ask a girl out on a date in my life because I always was 100%
Barefoot
sure
on a horse? Put it on the poll, Guillermo. Is barefoot on a horse the best way to ask a woman out
Times
on a
have
date?
changed.
No, you don't ask a woman out on a date. What I'm saying is, in high school, they knew I had a horse, and girls love horses. It's just one of those things. They love to go horseback riding. So when they found out I had a horse, they would say, "Oh my gosh, can I come over to go riding?" And I didn't have to ask. I said, "Sure." The only thing is, I only have one horse, so we have to ride double, which means you ride in front of me and I have to, or you ride behind me and you have to wrap your arms around me. It was just a great way to.
A great time in your life, wasn't it,
heady
Ron?
play.
It was a great time in your life, is what
I
you're
gotta tell
saying.
you guys,
Yes.
it was a great time in my life. It really was a great time.
Yeah.
Got a big smile.
Barefoot, look at
I mean,
him,
look at him.
barefoot, dating Lothario, single man, jumping off of a horse, landing on a rattlesnake.
Yeah, that was not good. The rattlesnake part was not good. But the girls, like I said, women love horses, and women tend to really. I don't want this to come off wrong. They tend to really like guys who like horses because it's kind of like you have some compassion. You have
Go on.
something.
Yeah.
Wait, were you on a date when you got bit by a rattlesnake? Because how did that
thank
go?
God, that would have been embarrassing. No, I was by myself.
It's been said that dinosaurs descend from birds. Does that mean some dinosaurs would have white meat? Also, which dinosaur would you like to eat the most?
Okay, first of all, it's birds that descend from dinosaurs, and
That's a fun.
yes, I would imagine that dinosaurs would produce a good quality white meat. Much like you see in some of the reptiles today. Like alligator produces a good quality type of white meat. Gator tail is more of a white meat. I would venture to try almost any of the. I'll tell you what. I would venture to try the herbivores, not the carnivores. I wouldn't want to try a T-Rex. I would like to try maybe a Brontosaurus because that would be more equivalent to the herbivores, which I tend to feed on today.
Do you have any working knowledge of why and how we have accurate access to what dinosaurs sounded like?
No, and I don't think we do have accurate access. I think this is all speculative, and I think, as a matter of fact, I realized where they came up with the sounds for Jurassic Park when I was in Yellowstone during the rut, and when the elk bugles, that is the sound of the dinosaurs that they used in Jurassic Park. It said, I can't do it because I can't. Anyway, the bottom line, when you hear an elk bugle, listen to that and close your eyes and think of Jurassic Park in the forest. That's the
really?
sound.
I read that it was from turtles mating that they process that sound from.
Really? No. Turtles mating is more like, oh. That's not a dinosaur sound. The sounds you hear and I take that back. Turtles mating, depending on the size, like if it's a little, that would be a big Galapagos tortoise. The bigger the tortoise is more of like, and then you have the little things like, the Greek tortoises, and they go, like that. But it's not the sounds you're hearing in these dinosaur films. When you hear like those Godzilla sounds and stuff like that, listen to an elk bugle and try to imagine that resonating in the echo of a forest. That's exactly where they come down. That's all speculative. All those sounds you hear, that's all guesswork. There's nothing to document that or say what makes that sound.
Well, Ron, in Mike's defense, then dinosaurs could sound like turtles that are mating because we don't know what they sound like.
Mm-hmm.
It could. You're right, Bill. That you're absolutely right. It could, but I'm just saying it's all a guess. There is no evidence to suggest they haven't found fossilized vocal cords or anything like that would suggest this is the sound that came from these animals. We do know that reptiles, birds, can be very vocal, and they have vocal calls. They have mating calls. So we can pretty confidently speculate that they did make sounds. But as what those sounds were like, No, that's a pure guess.
Actually, the internet has a pretty good archive of what
then
they
that's
think
good. Sure.
what
There
they
you
think
go.
dinosaurs sound like.
Right.
Here's the first sound that comes to mind.
You never know.
Ron, what is the coolest thing in your house? Because
Sounded too healthy.
I've seen skulls. He did sound healthier back then. I've seen skulls in your house. So you would say, what is the coolest item in your house from the animal kingdom or from history?
Well, for me, I have the skull that's almost a perfect skull of a 20,000-year-old extinct cave bear. And I mean, it's perfect. I also have the skull that's almost perfect, all the dentition, the teeth, the enamel still there, of an extinct 20-million-year-old rhinoceros that used to roam the Badlands of the Dakotas. So those to me are really incredible because these are animals that lived, in the rhino's case, millions of years ago. And when you touch that enamel on the teeth, and I don't know, I have a very, vivid imagination. I try to think, what did this animal eat? When this animal was alive, I'm touching something here from millions of years ago that roamed the United States, a descendant of the rhino. What did this animal see? What did it eat? What did it feel? That to me is fascinating stuff.
What are those worth?
There it is.
Just out of curiosity.
Oh, here we go.
He wants to steal them. He's going to figure out
What
how
are
to
they
steal
worth?
them. We know you
And where
wouldn't
do you
sell
live?
them.
I
We
mean-
know that they're priceless to you. How did you get them, and what are they worth?
My cave bear skull, I would think because it's in such excellent condition, it's a matched upper jaw with the top, the mandible. It's in perfect. I would think it's probably somewhere between, I don't know, $15,000 and $25,000.
Wow.
How'd you get it?
Enough to be a golden cane.
How did you get
I-
any of these things?
I actually traded a bunch of other skulls that I had prepared. When I was younger, I would prepare all kinds of skulls of animals that died naturally. Nothing was shot or killed. I want to make that very clear. Okay, that's why you don't see any stuffed animals or any mounted things in my house. All the things I have are animals that have died naturally, and they're just bones. Because I think bones tell tremendous stories. They fascinate me. I have the skulls of like hippos, rhinos, lions, tigers. I mean, I have the skeleton of a 14-foot king cobra. And when you look at that, you think, here's the only snake in the world that with one bite can kill a full-grown elephant. And I look at that, and it's so majestic to me. It's so incredible. I get these things because over the years I prepared lots of skulls, and there's kind of an underground of people.
An underground of dark skull people. I love that you're a skull trader. This is a legitimate secret society, not like that bullshit golden cane thing. This is a secret society of skull traders that you're talking about, people who actually appreciate it, but that could be sinister. If I told a person who didn't know you, Ron Magill's a skull trader, they would think you perhaps a deviant.
Well, listen, you guys know my wife, Rita, and on the first time I was able to bring her to my townhouse, which I lived in at the time, as soon as you walk into the townhouse, the shelves were just filled with skulls, left up and down, like a whole series of primate skulls and stuff. She walked in, and I could tell by the look on her face was like, uh-oh, this was a mistake. She thought I was like into Santeria or something like that, something really weird. Thankfully, she gave me a chance, and things worked out. But it was a very scary moment. She'll admit to you when she walked into my house, that townhouse, on our first date, and I was able to bring her to the house, and she just went, uh-oh, this is a problem.
Ron, let's do this from the bottom up, from 5 to 1, in terms of bites and bullet ants and pains that you have felt in the animal kingdom. I want to rank Ron Magill's
ranking the bites,
top 5 bites/pains that you have felt, whether it's the macaw. It's a big list. We've never gotten to it before.
I need to get a pen. Hold on.
Okay. Yes.
I have one.
Okay.
Hold on. We're going to do this dramatically and with much fanfare because this is 15 years in the making. You're one of our most popular guests. We're getting here to subject matter we have not done with you before. So we want to rank the bites here, and we're going to go from 5 to 1. And I don't know where the macaw is. That macaw thing sounded awful, but let's see what we. But an alligator seems like it would be pretty bad too. You said the bullet ant is terrible. We've got plenty to pick from here. So
I got it. I already got it down.
Number 5, Ron.
Okay, number 5 would have been a young tiger. Wow.
What's the backstory there?
It was a tiger. It was about a year and a half old, and we were moving it, and I just got a little too confident, and it bit me. It was not happy, and it bit me in the fat part of the palm of my hand, and it kind of went all the way through, and it's hurt a lot.
By confident, like too chummy with the tiger, thought.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah?
Just thinking, oh, he's
Okay.
just a year and a half old. He's just a youngster. He's not going to be aggressive or anything.
All right.
And I didn't listen to my own rule, and that is, you can take an animal out of the wild. You never take the wild out of the animal.
Number 4, Ron.
That's going to be the macaw, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the macaw.
Holy shit. The
At number
macaw is
4?
number 4. So it bit through your fingernail, did it not?
It went through my fingernail, and the two ends of the jaw met in the middle of my finger to the bone.
Okay, so to the bone. So yes, that would be terribly painful. And how do you shake that off? Like, is that a quick snip, or does it lock in there, and all of a sudden you've got to pry a macaw off your hand?
No, I freaking shook my hand and shook it off my finger, and it fell on the floor.
Number 3.
That is going to be the crocodile bite.
That's where you met your wife. It was worth it. How did that happen?
I was actually handling a crocodile, filming a television commercial, and again, young, overconfident, cocky, and careless. And I got bitten. I will say that the post-treatment care was the most painful. But as far as the bite itself, at the time it happened, it was painful, but not as painful as number 1 and 2.
What was the post-treatment care? What was it?
It was just because the bites went through my joints. I had surgery to take little pieces of bone out, but then they had to clean the joints all the time, and they would take a water pick and put it into the joint and flush it with the water pick. Without any anesthesia. It was like I had my finger in a light socket. It was horrible. It's horrible.
Number 2.
Number 2, I'm going to go. God, this is a tough one. I'm going to go with the bullet ant.
Holy shit! Really?
Upset.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was horrible. It was horrible. It really was. It really was.
Why?
That was just. Stugotz, imagine putting your finger onto a red hot burner on the oven, and then someone taking a little hammer and keep on hammering it on top of that burner.
For how long? How long did that pain last?
That went on for the intensity of it went on for close to half an hour. It felt like a full day. It was like, where you cry and you vomit. The pain is so bad you vomit. It's that bad.
And so there's something worse than that. This is a stunner of a list right now. That the bullet ant beats the tiger and the alligator.
The pygmy rattlesnake. It felt so bad. That felt like somebody took a branding iron to the heel of my foot and kept hammering it with a sledgehammer. That was just horrible.
How did you land that way? Did you land right on its head? Did you land on No,
I stepped on its body, and it just reached around and bit the heel of my foot.
All right, Ron.
And I tell you what, it only bit me with one fang. And those types of bites are not, as generally speaking, they don't release as much venom as they do, for instance, when they're hunting to eat. They want to always conserve their venom. So that was just, I can't imagine what a full bite would have been like. I mean, and this is a pygmy rattlesnake, the smallest of the rattlesnakes here in the United States. But man, I got to tell you something. I was crying like a little wench. I was just, oh my God, that hurt so bad.
Ron, this hasn't happened to you, but where would Roncula's bite land on this list?
Yeah, Central retired. We must say retired.
Brother, let me tell you something. No pain, just pleasure there, brother.
Nothing but pleasure. No pain.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Ron. We will talk to you next week.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Take
See
care.
you, Ron.
Stugotz, I've got a conundrum on my hand, something that has not made an appearance very often in my television viewing habits. I think I'm like most of you in that I'm getting a little overwhelmed by the amount of streaming options and content options. And so I am, by word of mouth, basically programming my television on things I need to be checking in on.
Right.
And I just learned that there is a television show called Yellowstone with Kevin Costner that is the most popular show going right now, bigger than The Walking Dead.
First time I'm hearing of it. I mean,
this is the
it's
part.
crazy.
This is the part that's puzzling to me. It is said to be the most popular show on cable television, and yet I don't hear anybody talking about it. Nobody in my world is recommending Yellowstone, which I guess is Peacock, Paramount. It's in its 4th season. Kevin Costner is doing television, and it's got a Western feel. I just saw a great Western this weekend. O. Henry, I think is what it was called. I thought it was exceptionally well done. It's a movie. It's about an hour and a half, and it's entertaining. It's not a series.
I think that's a candy bar.
Thank you.
An underrated one.
It is. Put it on the poll,
Dan got
Guillermo.
Choco drunk again.
At LeBatard Show, is O. Henry an underrated candy bar? Because I don't think it's an underrated candy bar. I think it's an overrated candy bar. It does not belong in the discussion with the candy bar greats.
I don't think you can be an overrated candy bar if you don't get it on Halloween. If you don't get it on Halloween, are you even a candy bar?
Well, this is what I'm saying. So what
Good
is
point.
it? Is I believe that Stugotz just wanted to say the candy bar joke and always wants to be here for an underrated and overrated conversation, but I don't think he actually thought this through. I don't think he's got any strong opinions whatsoever on the O. Henry bar. What is in the O. Henry bar? Did you just look it up? Mike, can you look at his computer to see if he just looked up some
Mike can look all he wants. Go ahead.
Some
what
O.
he finds
Henry?
is a Mr. Good bar that's on my screen right now.
on
Here's the
his screen,
problem with the
Mr.
O. Henry
Good Bar.
bar. It checks off all the boxes for me. It's got chocolate. It's got peanuts. I like that combination. It's just not the best of that category. The best of that category is Mr. Good Bar.
No, the best of that category is Snickers.
We disagree, okay? I think it's Mr. Good Bar.
Stugotz,
You're
nobody
wrong.
is saying that Mr. Good Bar is better than Snickers. Come on.
I'm saying it, okay? So, no, to me, Snickers falls in a different category.
What category? You just said chocolate and peanut
Snickers
butter.
has caramel in it. There's a caramel category, and Snickers has that in it. Mr. Good Bar, it's like chunky, right? The chunky bar. The chunky bar has raisins, nuts, and chocolate. Mr. Good Bar just has nuts and chocolate. O. Henry has nuts and chocolate, but it's thicker. I think, and I like thinner. So Mr. Good Bar, to me, is the best of that category. How about that for a breakdown? Huh?
I think
you thought I had nothing on O. Henry, and I had something on O. Henry.
I think O. Henry is the flea market version of this category. I believe that it is a candy bar that people listening right now in our audience do not have a passionate opinion about. We should go to our food expert, Chris Cody, to find out how he generally feels about the O. Henry bar, because I never hear, much like the television show Yellowstone with Kevin Costner, I never hear anybody talking about the O. Henry bar. I think the Baby Ruth might be a more popular, although is that your caramel category?
That kind of falls into the Snickers, that kind of category where, the O. Henry is just straight chocolate with some peanuts, and that's it. It's just, for me, it's not as good as a Mr. Good Bar.
Is the O. Henry bar the Sacramento Kings of the chocolate and peanut category, and a perpetual underachiever, a perpetual team or candy bar that you're never thinking of?
I think you guys are messing with me, and that's not even a real candy bar. I've never even heard of an O. Henry bar. I've heard of a Mr. Good bar, a Goodyear bar? What the hell is it called? I've never had one of those.
Mr. Good Bar.
I've never had that. I've heard of that one. Never even
Delicious.
heard of the O. Henry
I believe
bar.
the O. Henry bar is trying to get your attention with an exclamation point, which is desperation. I believe O. Henry is with an
Let me
exclamation
see what this
point.
looks like.
It
Maybe
should
I've
be a
seen it
question
before.
mark. Oh, Henry?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that. Baby Ruth, by the way, lacks structure. I don't like it. Little too sloppy on the presentation.
Yeah, flaky. Things are falling off everywhere.
These
yeah,
O.
you're
Henry
right.
nuts here, there, everywhere.
These O. Henry bars are not at gas stations around here. I do not recognize this.
You got to dig deep for the O. Henry bar. You
Where?
do. You got to
Dig deep
really look around. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, you got to really search. I'm not certain it's in every gas
It
station.
looks good.
It
In
does.
your defense, looking at it, it looks like
Doesn't
something
it
I'd
look-
enjoy.
Wait a minute, but why would you like you can't say the Baby Ruth has got too much flakiness. And what did you say, Billy?
It lacks structure. I need a clean presentation
does.
on my bar. Have you ever watched a cooking show? It's all about plating. And the Baby Ruth, a little too sloppy for me.
well,
Butterfinger also sloppy.
It's
no.
Yeah,
It
flaky.
crumbles.
The
You eat it,
presentation
you
is
can't-
good.
You can't eat a Butterfinger in your car because it gets everywhere.
But the presentation is good. Billy's right.
Presentation is
It gets
good,
sloppy
yeah.
as you eat it. The Snickers bar is
Peanut butter
compact
brittle.
and perfect, if you want to know the truth.
Yes. Oh.
Snickers bar, compact,
I do
perfect.
want to know the truth, and I
That's
thank
the
you
truth.
for offering it,
Yep.
Stugotz.
You got it.
The-
Always here for the truth, Dan. Except when I'm not.
The Baby Ruth, you're accusing it of being turdy, are you not? Lumpy? Are you saying it disintegrates, it falls apart as it's going, Billy? I want to understand the nature of your accusation.
I'm not even saying that it falls apart. I just don't like the presentation. I like clean sides, clean top. I want to bite into it and be surprised. There, I kind of see what's going on.
Right.
I wouldn't have said turdy, but listen, you brought it up, and I don't know that I can dispute it. I wouldn't have gone there. But I'm looking, and
It's
I've seen that
sloppy.
somewhere before.
But I wouldn't call
In the
it.
let.
I wouldn't. I would not call it sloppy necessarily. I would call it more lumpy. The Baby Ruth
Not constructed well, Dan.
Baby Ruth has to be a first ballot Hall of Fame
No
chocolate
chance.
bar. No,
First ballot? You're insane.
First ballot.
That's crazy talk. First ballot?
Well,
Third,
it's
maybe.
from my childhood. The Baby Ruth. And now keep in mind, I imagine I'm not applying America's sensibilities
No, I
here.
think you're right, Tim.
I'm just saying from my
that's
child.
like Veterans
What's next?
Committee,
You're gonna say
maybe.
Three Musketeers? I mean, geez.
Yeah.
Three
Dan.
Musketeers might get in. I don't like it,
First
but it might get
ballot,
in.
Overrated.
Stugotz.
It might get in. Listen, there were old candy bars, just like there were old baseball players who probably shouldn't be first ballot, but we didn't know what we were doing back then. Okay? Now, the Milky Way, if you rethink it, in today's Hall of Fame, probably not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Okay?
It's like kids playing with a fire truck. Candies today, toys today, bigger, faster, stronger. Get the Three Musketeers, Baby Ruths out of here.
I don't disagree. The Baby Ruth, first off, don't disrespect the Baby Ruth, okay? It's a very good candy bar. It's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Everything can't be first ballots, Stugotz.
Well, no. But do
I
you
believe
agree a Hershey's bar is first
No,
ballot?
I think
No?
Hershey's bar is vastly overrated.
Really?
Well, I
Bad
think what's
even.
happened here is there has been, I think you had it classified properly when you said we've learned how to do measurements, things have gotten bigger and stronger and faster, and you and I have been aged out on candy bars because I'm willing to say right now that the Three Musketeers and the Hershey's bar, the Three Musketeers, the Hershey's bar, they are overrated because they're from a different time, and Milky Way, though, come on, man.
Hold on,
Milky
hold on.
Way
Poor
has
man
not
Snickers.
We-
Poor man
hold on a
Snickers.
second. Hold on. We're getting way ahead of ourselves. Hershey's bar. Let's close the door on that. Hershey's bars are more of an ingredient than they are of a candy.
The sequel was better. the
Hershey's
Hershey
bar are
Cookies and
most
cream.
known for being part of a s'more than they are for being a candy bar you'd eat on your own.
But if we're
They're an
doing
ingredient.
baseball players or Stugotz's analogy, Hershey bar has to be like Ty Cobb.
Right,
Like,
the original. I mean,
Hershey's bar was one of the first.
it gets in out of respect, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
More than
Yeah.
merit. More than
Yes.
merit. It just gets in on name and it gets in on history. It gets in on
It's-
innovation and pioneering.
No, it's like in the early stages in a museum on aviation where you see the ones that just kind of like would hop off the ground and look like fans. You're like, what the hell is that thing? Well, it's the best that they could do at the time. That's a Hershey's bar.
I feel like it's the same thing for the Three Musketeers. I've never liked Three Musketeers,
Can't stand it.
but throughout my childhood, Three Musketeers would have been a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I respect the hell out of it. Don't like it, but respect the hell out
Good
of it.
packaging.
Yeah.
That silver, shiny, it draws your eye. You say, you know what, I want to try that. You bite into it. And listen, Mr. Musketeers, all three of you, I don't want to offend you. You bite into it, a lot of nothing. It's literally just fluff
It is.
inside
It's
of it.
fluffy nothing. You're so
Mhm.
right about that. But that's not true of the Milky
Did I
Way.
miss the bar when I took a bite? No, it's there. It's in my mouth.
But the Milky Way, I don't believe that you can dismiss the Milky Way the same way that you guys are dismissing Hershey's and
Milky Way Midnight is better than Milky Way.
What is that? I don't know the
Dark chocolate. Yeah, Midnight. Milky Way, meh.
What are your first ballot Hall of Famers? If you're only allowed, since you're making the rules,
How many do I get?
let's say 10.
10. Oh my gosh, that's a lot.
Is it
What
a lot? First ballot Hall of Famers.
Basketball
The
Hall of Fame
history
here,
of
everybody's getting in.
the history of chocolate. What do you want? You want 5? What are Billy's? You're saying Baby Ruth's not a Hall of Famer
No,
because that's
not first ballot, third ballot, or Veterans Committee. I'm telling you, not first ballot.
Who are your first ballot chocolate Hall of Famers?
Snickers, easy, boom. How many am I getting? I'm not going to do 10. That's too many.
Well, how many? You asked me how many I put in. I say 10. You rejected. How many would you like to put in? How many?
4.
4. You're saying there are only 4 first ballot Hall of Famers in the history of chocolate bars.
I've just got a general bone to pick with the Three Musketeers.
Oh.
Because they're always referred to as the Three Musketeers, even though there are 4 of them.
There
like
are?
It's like the Big Ten conference.
Hold
yeah,
on
people
a
always
second.
sleep on D'Artagnan.
Wait a tick.
You can't sleep on D'Artagnan. So they were a unit, but the story is about D'Artagnan becoming a musketeer. So by the story's end, there are 4 musketeers.
You have been suspiciously sitting out some of this conversation. How do you feel about?
I've been thinking about this. I'm just so happy that we finally get to cross the streams here.
Are we talking about chocolate or are we talking about something else?
No, we're talking about literature. What are you guys talking about?
We're talking about chocolate right now.
Milky Way is not a first ballot Hall of Famer to you?
Not to me personally. I wouldn't vote for it. That's not to say that it won't get in. I wouldn't vote for it.
So what else are you putting in?
Snickers, easy, boom.
Yes, Snickers, I think, is a consensus first ballot Hall of Fame.
I do always forget about D'Artagnan.
It's everyone does.
My personal preference, I'd put Reese's in there. Number 2.
That's not a chocolate bar.
Well, what are we doing? We're just doing chocolate, aren't we?
chocolate
Well, no,
Oh,
but
bar.
we're just doing bars, right? We're not putting Skittles.
putting
We're not
Reese's.
putting Starburst.
What-
we're not
We're
even.
just doing chocolate bars, and Kit Kat's
Is-
not a bar.
is the
Is Kit
pepper-
Kat a
Hold
bar?
on. Is the Reese's peanut butter cup a bar?
No, that's what
That's
he
what
just
he just said it's
offered.
not.
Stugotz.
Steve Martin's a prop
Listen
comic.
to the show, Stugotz.
Well, there's an actual candy Hall of Fame that I'm looking up right now. To
Every
see who's
candy's in
actually
there, I bet you
Right.
anything. Every candy's going to be in there.
I'm checking.
You know what's going to be in there? Those little plastic wax things that you bite into that looks like a soda can and then it squirts into your mouth. I bet you that's in
Is
there.
the Twix a first
Gross.
ballot? The Twix a full first ballot Hall of Famer?
Yes. Yes.
Kit Kat.
Left or right?
Yes, Kit Kat.
Well, Billy's not
Right.
giving us anything. Billy's one of these snobby elitist voters. He's not
No,
giving
it's
us
not
anything.
sloppy. No. It's everything can't be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
But you've just said Snickers is the only thing. You haven't given us a second one. Do you not have a second?
Well, because now we're doing bars. I didn't know we were just doing bars. They were doing chocolate candy.
How about
Kit Kat? Is Kit Kat a bar?
What about a York peppermint patty?
Oh, gross. Ew. Get peppermint out of my
Patty.
chocolate.
It's not a bar. Yeah.
Ugh.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo, at LeBatard Show. Do you hate the York peppermint patty?
Get
How
outta
do you
here.
eat it?
No, I don't like it either.
Get
You don't
over
like it?
yourself.
I don't
also.
eat it.
There's only one way to eat a York peppermint patty. That's by opening up the wrapper slowly, then taking it out, and then throwing it directly into the nearest trash can.
It's perfect for a mini bar.
I don't like mint and chocolate. Do you guys like that from ice cream?
Absolutely not. Not for me.
You don't like mint chocolate chip?
No, I don't like anything. I don't need mint with my chocolate. Chocolate is fine enough without adding mint. Mint is fine enough without adding chocolate.
I am with you. I am telling you, we're probably alone. It's like me and you and maybe a couple of other people.
Nobody here in the room likes the York peppermint patty. Nobody here. I'm sure
I'm
many
talking,
people.
I'm talking mint chocolate chip ice cream, though. That's what I'm
Well,
talking
no,
about.
this is a whole nother conversation.
that's
Now
all.
we're doing ice cream.
Billy, we're not
Can you
doing ice
believe
cream
mint
yet.
is a leaf? That's crazy, right?
As opposed to what?
I don't know. It's always like in candy or it's like hard. I never look. You look at a mint, a peppermint, for example, right? Is that a leaf at one time? Am I missing how we make mints?
I don't know how we make mint.
Neither do I.
I'm surprised that you didn't know that mint was a leaf, like in a drink or in an ingredient in a
Doesn't chocolate
recipe.
also come from
I
a
knew
plant?
that's why I'm wild. I don't believe that.
What are your first ballot Hall of Famers? You've given
Cocoa
me
plant.
only one. You've only
Well,
given
everything I'm telling you, you're telling me is not a bar. Snickers, boom. Then I told you Reese's, you said ineligible. I said, okay, fine. Kit Kat, is that okay? And if you say no to Kit Kat, I'll give you Kit Kat Big Cat because Kit Kat Big Cat is bigger than Kit Kat.
Kit Kat's a bar?
Yeah, Kit Kat Big Cat is like an actual bar. That's delicious.
And
It's
you
like
said-
a brick.
bar, yeah.
And you said
Oh.
to Twix?
No, Twix can get in.
So that's
Second ballot
three.
for me,
that's
but Twix
that's
can get in.
three. A second ballot for you on Twix?
Nah, Twix can get in. We'll let Twix in.
And so do you have a fourth now? Is there a fourth candy bar that you are willing to
I think
allow?
I'd hold my vote. I don't think that I'd vote for it just because I had to, you know?
You're
I'd
just
hold that
holding-
vote. Yeah, I think so. Rainy day.
Are any of you upset in the audience, Stugotz? This was something that I saw was making the rounds very briefly and a little bit too quietly. I know that we've made fun of Greg Cody over the years when he has asked the cliche-soaked question of should steroid-tainted guys like Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens get in the Hall of Fame. But you do realize this is Barry Bonds' last year on the ballot?
Is it really?
It would appear
man.
they're going to keep out the best baseball player that I've ever seen in my life. it would appear that they are going to keep him out of the Hall of Fame because he hasn't been able to get the number of votes. A baseball player who would have made the Hall of Fame long before his body started changing on any of this stuff. One of you can have an argument about best baseball player you've ever seen, but he's in anybody's top 5 history of the sport, history of our most historic sport, and you're only keeping him out arbitrarily because you assume that he used steroids during the cheating age.
He would have been first ballot, right? I mean, he had 3 MVPs with the Pirates before he went to the Giants.
Before his body changed.
I was already thinking before Bonds went to the Giants that I am watching one of the greatest baseball players of all time, if not the greatest baseball player I've ever seen. Then he went to the Giants and did things that were, I mean, we've never seen them.
73 home runs, the things that were steroid-addled. If you believe some of the stories, he saw... he and Griffey both saw McGwire and Sosa taking over the sport with their home runs and their medicine. And Griffey decided they had a choice about what it is they were going to do. And Barry Bonds did not like that lesser players to him, Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire, were stealing his sport from him when he was clearly better. So he got tempted by the stuff that they were using, and Ken Griffey did not. Ken Griffey obviously gets into the Hall of Fame easily. Barry Bonds, it looks like, is going to get kept out.
One took the path that would extend their career. The other one was seen napping in the clubhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And body was ravaged by injuries as well.
Yeah.
And
perhaps Three Musketeers.
And he aged. Yeah. He aged the way that baseball players throughout time before the pharmaceuticals always age.
It's kind of sad though, because if you watch Barry Bonds, everyone knows what you were watching. Steroids, no steroids. Same with Clemens. Same with A-Rod. You were watching some of the greatest baseball players that have ever lived, and to have a Hall of Fame and not have those guys be in that Hall of Fame, to me, in a sport that used to be my favorite sport growing up, is kind of sad. It just is. For whatever, I don't know why it bothers me so much, but like, can we not look past what Bonds did and realize that before he did any of that stuff, he was still one of the greatest baseball players we've ever seen? And we have no earthly idea what these other guys, we don't think Griffey did anything, but we don't know.
We don't know.
Look,
right? I've told you guys before, Guillermo Mota, one of the skinniest players in the big leagues, ended up being someone I think who was suspended twice. D. Gordon, who was fast and never hit for power, was suspended once. Billy, do you care at all about this? Do you care when you think of Barry Bonds? Do you care at all that
not
he's
losing any sleep over it?
Understood, but you don't sleep over the things in sports. You lose sleep over whether Starling Marte is going to be re-signed by the Marlins.
Man, well, yeah, that's sport, but man, how about that? They trade, then they get him back. That would be a thing, huh? You know why I'm losing sleep? My pillow sucks. We don't need to get into
I
that.
recently switched from a 2-pillow to a 1. I'm now a 1-pillow guy. You know that there's these pillows that you can like.
Body pillow.
Do you guys sleep on your side?
Yeah.
I have this new pillow that's meant to be on your side.
A little between your legs.
This will be the most interesting
right?
nugget of the week. For
Side sleepers?
Yeah.
What is it called? Let me see.
How many pillows do you use? What's the right? I use
used to be a 2.
pillows.
Right.
I use 2 pillows.
Under your head. 2 pillows under your head?
Yes, my wife has my wife has about 40 pillows on the bed.
Decorative or?
I mean, yeah. There are like 30 decorative pillows, and then there are the 10 other pillows that we use, 2 of which I get.
I just thank you guys in advance for a week's worth of IG ads regarding pillows now.
Yeah.
I sleep on my right side because I feel like it puts less strain on my heart. I feel like if I sleep on my left side, that all the stuff going on my right side is like coming down and putting pressure. Because you know your heart's on the left side.
You feel like you're sleeping healthy? You feel like you're sleeping healthy?
You might be overthinking it. I mean, right side.
Mike, are you not disturbed at all that very casually you just lobbed out there the fact that our devices are listening to us? I know I keep bringing this up, but I don't think that this needs to be normalized. I don't think the people in our audience who are shrugging their shoulders about every time they pick up their phone or their computer, they are seeing things that have been targeted to them because they're walking around their house talking about stuff, and then all of a sudden they're being advertised to on what their secret desires are privately expressed in their home. This can't be normal, Mike.
Well, I do think that they're listening to us, but part of it too is if you're connected to a Wi-Fi in which someone was Googling a lot, like we may get chocolate advertisements because in this segment we talked a lot about chocolates. So you might see that, pop up there. But yeah, it's almost instantaneous. Look, I'm going to do it to the audience right now. Trust me.
Careful.
Over the next week, your IG is going to be so inundated with sauces, specialty sauces. You're not going to get enough of those IG ads advertising to you directly. All sorts of sauce.
What are
Hot
specialty
sauce,
sauces?
New York streetcar sauce, truffle hot sauce.
Nice.
Yeah, you're going to get it all because I talked about it.
I have a strategy for that.
What?
Just be boring 80% of the time intentionally, and then whoever's listening to you will be like, this is not a person worth listening to. So, like, just go through your day and your life having a series of mundane conversations that lead to nothing and nowhere. And then whoever's listening will eventually get tired of listening to you, and then you can sneak things past them.
Well on our way.
Is it boring that you want to go with?
Oh,
or
yeah.
Do you want to start talking about around your devices that you're cheap, that you're never spending money on anything, that you refuse? Like, do you want to run them off by lying to them about your spending?
No, because I feel like if you kind of seem to be cheap, then they think like you'll have more money to spend and inundate you with more things, right?
He's overselling it.
Yeah,
right?
where if you're just boring or weird, they're like, I just don't want to listen to this person anymore. Trust me, I've been there.
What's the most boring conversation we can have? I mean, outside of the Griffey Bonds thing.
We were talking about candy for a little bit.
We could go back to which side you lay on.
Yeah,
you don't
and
want to have too much pressure.
How it
building
affects your
on
heart. Yeah.
So you feel your heart jiggle from one side to the other as you flip over and try to protect your heart from what? From I don't
Have
even
you ever
understand
gotten
what you're doing.
like a muscle strain in the chest and been like, oh God, this is the big one?
all
Every
the time.
day.
All
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Duh.
All the time.
Yeah.
Instead of dark and neurotic and clumsy, I've noticed a little bit happier Billy Gill. I don't know whether it's fatherhood, but he is talking about, Stugotz, getting ready.
It's God bless football, Dan. That's
Well,
what
it's
it
not
is.
I'm waiting to hear how I'm happier because I feel quite.
Well, I just can't believe
do
that
look happier,
you're
Bill.
ready to jump aboard the Christmas season train.
Oh
like you're
yeah,
ready.
man, I'm in. I don't know what it is. I was walking around Home Depot, the Deep, and I saw some Christmas ornaments. I also saw it at Walmart. Dan, I almost got it at Walmart, and I didn't get it because I had to focus on the project that I had at hand at the time, which was install a mailbox. I almost got this giant inflatable Christmas tree to put in front of my house, and I'm like, I should wait. It's like November, whatever day it was, like 11th or something. Like, I should probably wait. But now I need to go before those inflatable trees are gone, right? I want to spice things up. I haven't had a house before. I want
You've
to
got
make
a house, you
look
got
nice.
a family, you're a dad. So you want Christmas to start earlier. I believe, haven't you always said the holidays are stressful?
Oh, they are stressful, but that's why I'm trying to maybe like baby step the stress. You know what I mean? Instead of having it all packed into one thing, maybe I just slow play the stress and just do things little pasito a pasito. You know what I mean? I get a little bit here, maybe then I get a Christmas tree, and then by the time we get to December, like we're okay and I'm ready for it to be over.
Kate Fagan joins us now. I have put a Christmas tree up. I think it's
You have already?
it's earlier than I ever have. Yeah.
Wow.
earlier
You
than
put
I
one
ever-
up already?
I did it this week, and I was wearing a pink stocking on my head. Yes.
Wow.
Is it too early for that? Is it, or is this okay, Kate?
Oh, no, Christmas starts as early as you want it to. I'm always in desperate search of the Christmas spirit, trying to recapture whatever feeling I had when I was young. Always in vain, but always trying early.
Chris, put it on the poll. Does Christmas begin whenever you want it to? Because I believe Billy would object to that. There must be rules. Without rules, there is chaos.
Well, I have a question for Kate. When does Christmas end?
Right. Well, when's it start for you?
Well, do you mean when do you take down the tree and put away the ornaments?
Yeah.
Usually, if my goal is by February 1st.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it takes a long time. You know, like that's a long way to get the tree back up into the attic because it's not the kind of attic that I have stairs to. I have to get out a little, device and pull down the little ramp. So it's a lot
fake
of
tree.
work for
Put it
me.
on the poll, Gear.
Wow.
Put it on the poll at LeBatard Show. Real Christmas tree or fake Christmas tree?
You can't still have the tree up during the Super Bowl. Like, you can't. I mean, Kate,
That's
come
by
on.
February 1st.
All right,
Yeah.
put it on the poll. Can you still have the tree up during the Super Bowl at LeBatard Show?
Dan, I think for me, Christmas ends after Reyes Mago. Like, once that's done, Billy, I don't know about you, Reyes Mago, once that's done,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, you leave the shoe, and then the Reyes come and they bring you something. and they need to know about your shoe.
Tell the people about the tradition who don't know about the tradition, which
people
is
don't know about
Thank you,
Magos.
Dan.
No, but no, everyone hates when I
Everybody here
explain the
knows about
joke.
Reyes
And
Magos.
Billy is always dropping these
Stugotz
terms
knows.
that require
Excuse me,
explanation.
Tony did that one, first of all. Stugotz,
That's
you
a
let him know.
fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you let him know, Stugotz.
Let them know.
I have no idea. I mean, I was thanking Dan because I needed someone to
explain who the
explain it.
Magos are. Ask him.
Ooh,
He's lived
yeah.
in South Florida all his life. Ask him what that is.
There's a
Just-
parade, Stugotz, every
Ooh, the
year. You ever been to
parade.
Reyes Magos parade through
Wait,
Little Havana?
what's it called?
Reyes Magos.
Reyes Mayas. So Jose Reyes,
Mhm.
right?
It's Magos.
That's right.
Parade. Are you asking me what it is? It's a Christmas celebration parade every single year that we have down in Miami. I haven't missed it in the last 10 years. I mean, how about that?
That's just a bonus lie
It's-
at the end.
It's
That
what
was
you want it to
not
be. I
unnecessary.
mean, that's what the holidays are all about, you know?
It's the three kings. You
The
know,
three wise
kings.
men, yeah.
the three
Yeah.
wise men. They
Mhm.
came a little late. Jesus was born. They showed up
They
like
got
a month
lost.
later. Yeah,
They got lost. You know,
Well,
they were
travel then. I
they
mean,
didn't have the
imagine how hard
iPhone.
travel is
Latin
now.
time.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Reyes Mar-a-Lago. I do. I mean,
What is going on with the shoe? What is? You want to tell people what's
Oh,
going
you
on
leave
with
a
the
shoe. That's how you leave a shoe.
everyone
for
knows
the
about
three
the
kings.
shoe.
Yeah, then they know whose present they're giving you based on the shoe. Did you do the shoe? Maybe
No,
my family made that
I
up.
never did the shoe.
I'm going to investigate this. Maybe that was a made-up situation.
Mike, what are you laughing at? Are
The
you
shoe?
Are you laughing
Ask
at
Mirabal about this.
At
Ooh, yes.
at
Ohio
Stugotz
State's home field.
or at Cuban people?
I think he had a Cuban holiday being celebrated at Donald Trump's resort. in
Yeah,
Las
that was we were trying to just
Called
move
it
right
Miro,
past that.
That's
though.
unfortunate. Yeah.
It's we would not be welcome there with our trees and our brown habits. We would be left out.
Cubans would be welcome there.
I bet
Oh,
you
yeah,
there's
you're
frankincense
right.
and myrrh there,
You're
though,
right.
if you look hard enough, right?
You're so right, though. But I feel like from there, they look outside and they can't tell the Cubans from the Mexicans or anybody else. Like, I think they just think we're all one glom of brown, and the good ones are the ones down in Florida that tend to vote for our orange turd.
So February 1st is the end of Christmas season.
Once you drive past West Palm, it gets really dicey for all Cubans.
This is what I need you guys' help with, because the reason I did it earlier this year, even though I love Christmas every year, is that it always catches up on me, and it takes a minute for me to go and get the tree, physically go and get the tree. And what happened last year is I went and got it, and then I had to take it down too soon because I didn't put it up soon enough. And I think that once you get to February, you got dead pine all over the house, and you got a sad tree. And I believe that Kate is doing this lazily, and I believe she should be shamed for it. I believe she needs to get that tree out earlier.
Real trees only.
Yeah, and I don't think that she could give everybody just this tree freedom that she's giving. Start Christmas when you want, end it when you want. There are no rules. There is no calendar.
Well, when you have a fake tree, you expand the ability for yourself to start Christmas early and end it late because you are not attached to the lifespan of the tree that's in your house. So, Dan, I think the issue here is if you want more Christmas in your life, you got to go the fake tree route because it really opens up the horizons on Christmas.
I don't like that. The whole
Wow.
point of getting a tree is you have to go to the place that's, on Bird Row with the
Yeah,
tent.
the tent,
And then you
yeah.
go in and you pick kind of a shitty tree and you're like, oh, that one's $175. Like, oh, I guess I get that one. And then you bring it home. You have to lug it on your shoulder. You have to put it through the house. All the pine needles fall everywhere. It's a complete mess. You put it up, right?
Yeah.
You put up the little star and then it looks like a Charlie Brown tree. And then 3
It's
weeks later, it's
miserable,
dead.
yeah.
Why is it a shitty little tree?
No,
because they're usually
it's
shitty
too
little
expensive.
trees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go to El Jack over there on 107th
like
Avenue, right in
$500 for
front
a
of the
tree.
fair.
Wait,
What are we gonna do about the fair now? Because the fair is going on right now. So is El Jack not gonna exist? El Jack, by the way, for those of you who do not know, is the tree company that's there every year for
I
whatever
thought you were going to
reason.
make me explain that.
Oh,
well.
I thought you were talking about Lamar Jackson.
Kate, have you ever considered having a Christmas room in your house?
Explain that to me. Is it just Christmas all year round? And I go in
Yeah.
there when I want to absorb the Christmas spirit?
Yeah, 'tis the
Wow,
season. You just
that
walk
is
in, maybe you have
cool.
an extra room. You
I
put
like
the tree
the
in the
idea.
How
corner.
many
Being
rooms
able-
do you think I have in my house?
I don't know. How
I
many?
love the
Yeah.
idea of being able to visit Christmas whenever you want
Yeah,
to
exactly.
by walking into a room.
I'm
That seems
saying.
delightful, like to
Yeah.
turn that into a meditation room or something.
Yeah, I guess right now that's my attic, Billy. So my attic is my full-time Christmas room because that's where the fake tree is.
That's
so I
great.
could go up there. Yeah.
Man, I did not have Dan going out and getting his own tree.
Where do you get a
No
tree
way.
in
Yeah,
South
Dan, where'd you get a
Beach?
tree?
Wait a second. Did Mike get the tree for you? I mean, you actually got the tree?
I have
You
done
carried
so.
the tree?
Yes, there have been
Okay.
changes since I have gotten married, and yes, I take. In this particular case,
New man.
I learned this year that you can have the tree delivered. You can go pick it out.
Ah, there
we
we
were
go.
just talking. We're
Changes
like, where does he
everything.
put it in a convertible?
Yeah.
Well, no,
Exactly.
no, but my
Weird.
wife's got a Jeep, so in years past we have put it
okay.
in the Jeep. But this is
Got it.
this is a new thing in my life. Chris, you
year,
do
new
not
Dan.
go and get a tree. They
Oh, no.
are expensive.
I do, but I'm not rich. I just assume that you know, hey, you like schedule a time.
You
and
think he has a forest that every year it's like this is
Oh,
the one, for this
tree's
year?
been growing
Yeah.
all year.
I've
and
been
then they cut
growing-
it down for
I
him.
bet.
once
Yes,
a
I
year.
have a
Yes.
man who just grows me a tree every year to my
on
specifications.
your North Carolina property. Every Cuban has North Carolina
Yes,
property.
The most difficult thing to me about the Christmas tree and putting it
Down
up.
on the pole.
Does every Cuban have North Carolina property?
It's balancing the tree. To me, you always put the tree up, you tie in those bolts, and then you look at it and it's tilted to the
Always
left.
crooked.
Balancing the tree to me is the hardest part of putting up a Christmas tree.
Put that on the poll as well. Is balancing the tree and not having it be crooked the hardest part of?
I'm always down there like on the ground. My wife's like,
Oh.
move it to the right. And I'm like trying to unscrew these bolts. Like, get this.
Yes, it's unpleasant.
my life.
I've had to do that too.
Wait, guys, when you go to this tent on Bird Road, so there are sections. There's the bad tree section.
No, the
there's
cheaper trees. It's not bad
premium
trees.
trees.
It's not bad trees.
You guys
Okay.
are going mid-December, I bet.
Which one do you go to? The one next to the church?
Yeah, the one
By
next to the church.
107th?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been to that one. Then there's the one on Coral Way next to the storage.
Good
and the funeral home.
clarification.
Yep.
Yeah.
Billy, this is what's going to be running the University of Miami soon. This neighborhood.
Yeah.
These neighborhood of people who talk like this. This is what you're entrusting Mario Cristobal to.
I have
What's wrong with that, Dan?
I have a confession to make, and I'm not going to say where it was. I'll just give very few details to not incriminate me or anyone involved in this whole thing. When you go to buy a Christmas tree, they often have different colors tagging them,
Mhm.
right? And the different colors is the different price
You
range.
move the tag.
You don't move the tag, but a couple years back, there was a one of the people that was there that shows off the tree was like, whoopsie daisy, what if this tag disappears and you get the other one, and then I get, a little bit extra
Ooh, a little
on the
hush hush
tip
wink
for
wink.
putting it in the
wow.
car.
You were in on a conspiracy.
Well, look, here's the thing. The price that was paid for that tree ended up being exactly the same. Just more of it went to the person doing the work as opposed to the man.
So the
That was-
employee
I
stole.
like
You
that,
didn't steal,
Billy.
the employee did.
I didn't steal anything.
Billy
I
paid
the
full price,
I
yeah.
paid the price of the tree. Or someone did, not me. I wasn't involved in this. Someone paid the price of
But
the
you
tree.
you felt
Right.
like you were getting away with something and doing good in the meantime, being rebellious
Robin
by
Hood.
running a Christmas scam.
I wouldn't say
Yeah.
scam, Dan. Scam.
I mean,
seems
no,
bad.
that employee would be fired. That's a scam.
Well, that is some of
Man,
the. I'm just
depends
We're
saying,
sticking
the
it to the man, I
definition,
think, Dan.
I
That's the
mean-
whole point. is sticking it
person
to the
bringing
man.
it up said
Wait.
this tree looks a little bit bigger than it's supposed to.
Yeah. So Billy, is quote unquote the man in this case the owner of a tree nursery? Those barons, those emperors of wealth.
I mean,
When you put
yes.
it that way.
yeah.
Yeah, way to stick it to them. Yeah.
Oh, great word choices.
Well done.
Those barons and emperors of wealth.
He had a nice watch.
Yeah.
The watch.
Kate's new podcast with Jessica is out now. That was excellent timing by you. Off the Looking Glass, and they are going to play around with a lot of different things. I think you will find it thoughtful, professional, smart, funny, many of the things that Kate and Jessica are. It is out today, and we have a competition between Kate and Tony if certain things happen. I've heard them talking about rules and everything else, but we've got a modern day battle of the sexes, just like Billie Jean King and who did Billie
Bobby
Jean?
Riggs.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Stugotz, your wheelhouse.
Yes.
The gender
Those
wars.
men.
We're going to have a 3-point shooting contest as we're watching in Golden State, the best shooter any of us have ever seen. Better at what he does than just about anybody in basketball is at anything they do. Steph Curry is crazy torrid. You got Ken Tremendous on Twitter, Mike Schur saying the most exciting thing in sports right now is when Steph Curry is on a bender. on one of these. I'm going to shoot it from anywhere. I'm hot. You know it. We know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. I'm going to make it from 40 feet anyway.
As I said yesterday, the Warriors are not bleeping around. They're really not. Like, last night's game was so fun and entertaining, especially that first quarter where Durant and Curry are going at it, and then Curry just took the game over.
Yes,
like crazy.
And with Steph on the bench, it didn't matter that Durant is having, a great season. It doesn't matter because they've been overwhelming. Their point differential is overwhelming, and Klay Thompson is coming back. Draymond Green, you could give him the Defensive Player of the Year just based on what he did last night. Because Kevin Durant wasn't functioning when that was around last night, and they're both top 10 in both offense and defense.
They get Klay back soon as well. They're the best defensive team in basketball. If they're going to be that, who's going to beat them?
Well, and it's not just Klay, the getting him back. It's that Klay would fit anywhere you put him on any team because it's not going to disrupt anything. But in the age of three-point shooting, Tony and Kate have a competition. Kate, explain what the rules are, or if the competition, something needs to happen. You guys are sort of you're groveling for internet ratings here. You need the podcast Off the Looking Glass to have some reviews and some subscriptions. And so you're putting stakes on that with our listeners and saying, if they do that, we will get our Battle of the Sexes.
Dan, I thought I had so much success with the Pepper Challenge without any, ripple effects coming off of that, setting up your audience to donate to ALS. And it did send Mike on a 3-week vacation, but I figured I would double down on that strategy and set up the bar to harness the LeBatard audience for 1,000 ratings, not reviews. Reviews, that takes some level of thought or time. Ratings is just a button that you press. So I figured 1,000 ratings, if we can jumpstart Off the Looking Glass pod by reaching that 1K mark, I am willing to fly down to Miami, and I have some stipulations, to an indoor court to beat Tony at a 3-point shooting contest. Has to be indoor. Tony agrees on this. He's nodding as well.
Mike, we could do this. The Heat would let us do this, right? The Heat would let us set this up at the arena, correct?
I did something at their practice facility with Chris Cody shooting free throws, so I would assume that they'd be okay with this. Yeah.
The Heat have already made it known that they will accommodate this competition.
Wow.
And as Kate said, any shooter knows you got to be shooting inside or else it doesn't count. You can't shoot with the wind. There's a lot of variables playing outside. But I will say, not to be the heel, not to be the bad guy, 1,000 reviews. You're trying to put it up there so you don't have to come down and ratings. 1,000 ratings. She's putting it a little high. I don't think she wants to come down and face the champ. I don't think she wants to come down and face the champ.
I'd ask for 2,000. What do you mean?
How did you determine you're the champ?
He would drink a Dr. Pepper. That's what he would do. He would drink a Dr. Pepper. Stu would. Yeah.
How do you get to be the champ, Tony? Just because we assume because of these Instagram videos that we're making fun
Dan.
of?
No, we're not assuming anything.
Tony, did you play high school ball?
Yes.
Okay. I did
He's
too.
been waiting for that
shut up
question
about
his
it.
entire life.
I
Not
hit
really.
6 threes in one half. It's still a record in Long Island. Like, I don't know why I'm being left out of this, to be honest.
Okay,
with you.
Well, you
You're
can,
upset.
you can get
We're
in on it.
I'm not
recruiting.
even
We wanna
certain I can reach the rim
Yeah,
anymore.
Hold on. We want to recruit all the shooters of the LeBatard and Friends universe. We want to get everybody who thinks that they can shoot, and we'll do it together. A huge 3-point contest.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Tom Haberstroh put his hat in the ring on Twitter. He put up a video of him slingshotting it into the hoop, and
Accurate description.
He can, yeah. I mean, he can be part of this if he wants to get beaten as well.
I'm ready. I'm ready. I think I can. It's my 7th best sport, but I'll compete.
7th best.
Okay.
He's a good athlete, man.
What were you telling me, Stugotz? You were telling me something that seemed like a terrible idea for a number of different reasons.
What's
but
that?
You were telling me about a possible football game against Dan Patrick's show. And I asked Dan Patrick about it. I'm like, this sounds like a terrible idea. And he's like,
Great
this
idea.
is the first I'm hearing of
Of
it.
course, that's the first.
This is a Christmas tradition from Stugotz. Every Christmas, he says, at every Super Bowl, we're going to be playing Dan's show in something.
Listen, we're going to L.A. They're going to L.A.
Yeah.
We think we're going to L.A. We did. And Samsung is asking for ideas. And so I gave him
Stop
the idea.
giving all of this information.
Well,
Probably
listen,
shouldn't say that part.
Okay. The sponsor's looking for an idea, and I gave them the idea of a branded game named after them. It would be our show versus the Dan Patrick
See what
show.
these meetings are like for me.
Beach football.
Let's just stop for a
Listen,
second.
you got.
Billy,
Listen,
I can bleep it.
there's
We're good.
spitballs, man.
Billy, tell me what it's like for you.
It's
spitballing
this.
it.
It's this. These are the ones that he gets invited to. Then I have to track him down for the ones he's created for himself to add myself to those meetings too, to make sure that we haven't promised that Dan Patrick's going to be doing things, knowing full well we haven't spoken to Dan Patrick on anything.
Just trying to chip in and help where I can, Bill. That's all. That's all I'm trying to do.
Beach football is the worst idea possible, by the way.
Why is that?
Because
amongst 50
you're running on sand.
So, what do you have to be indoors to shoot jumpers? You have to have perfect conditions
I like my
for everything.
ACLs,
It's
dude.
weird. It's weird.
I like my
ACL,
I don't want to
AC
cut and then be
smell.
There
gone.
you go.
Whatever.
AC smell. Yeah.
The thing you guys don't understand is because Stugotz hasn't grown up in any way, like Stugotz imagines himself like dominating this game with like super efficient slants in the sand.
I would.
Like
then.
he's like Stugotz really, he's got these delusions of like, I am going to have like 12 catches. I'm going to be Cooper Kupp out there.
I mean, Fritzy's going to stop me? Who's going to stop me? Paulie? Seaton? I mean, McLovin? Are you
Just
kidding me?
ridiculous. You're damn near 50.
Just throw it up to me.
Oh, we would
okay?
destroy them. We would destroy them. To Stugotz's point, but
Just
Stugotz wouldn't.
throw it up to me. Now he's got fades.
Listen, I got a height advantage on Fritzy. It's one of the few people I have a height advantage, but just throw it up to me. All right. I'll
Is
go
this
get
going to
it.
happen then, Kate? You're going to get what you need to get from our audience for Off the Looking Glass so that this needs to happen. How soon? You said after Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I can be down there after Thanksgiving, before Christmas. I mean, I don't know if I leave it up to Billy, Chris, I don't know, Tony. Are we going to have a bracket? What are we going to do?
Any
Chris, you
rules to
want
this?
in on this?
Indoors, Dan. Indoors. Them's the rules, okay?
Indoors, I think we should do at a minimum of 50 shots.
Yes.
A minimum.
Yes.
Get a big sample. I like it.
I was going to say 100,
10
Kate.
at 5. Yeah, we could do 20 at 5 spots, 10 at 5 spots, but like this isn't like a 20 shots or 10 shots or whatever. We need at least 50.
Is this a 3-point shooting contest?
Yeah, Billy.
So why don't you just do it like the All-Star game where you have the racks set up and you go around the world?
That'd be fun. Yeah. Money balls.
That's a smaller
Are you
sample.
gonna set that
though.
up for us?
She's talking about a bigger sample. That's only 25 shots.
No, you could do it twice.
Yeah.
So it'll be like a double
Yeah.
elimination.
Good
You
idea.
go one round, and then
Yeah.
the second time around, you add that score up, and then you move on to the next round.
You set it up for us?
Sure.
Billy basketball over
All
here.
right.
All right, Kate, because
And-
this go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm putting this on the table. Can I use a women's ball?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I?
Yes.
If you think it'll help you shoot better, Stu.
It will. Yeah, small hands.
I think Stugotz, I think this is NBA, right? This is regulation threes, because I think Stugotz might end up being surprised how far that is.
Oh, no, he will be surprised on how far an NBA 3 is.
Mm-hmm.
He will.
It will be,
NBA
huh?
three.
Yeah.
Whew,
Uh-oh. So
okay.
we're doing NBA 3.
Oh, we're doing NBA. If
Well,
we
I
get to the
thought we were
Heat's
doing
court, we're
college.
doing NBA 3s.
Okay, wait a minute. So wait, we've got
Uh-oh.
some confusion
Here we
here.
go.
Kate thought we were doing college. Does she get to do college, or now we're doing women's tees
I'm
stuff?
good with college.
Are we doing?
I'm good with the NBA. I mean,
Okay, no, you're not.
You
This
just asked for
No.
WNBA ball.
it's it's gonna
It's
be.
like a full,
But the
like, isn't
NBA
it like
line,
2 feet
yeah.
further back? It's like a lot. It's a
I'm
big,
telling
big
you,
jump.
I've been on
It's
a
a
court.
lot.
I've been on a court and I've been like, God damn. Like I'm watching on television. I'm like, these guys make this look easy. And I'm like on the court and I'm like, could I throw it there overhand right now? Like this is far away.
how about we meet in the middle? Olympics, right? It's somewhere in between, is it not?
Why the hell are we going to find Olympic?
Yeah, I mean,
That's a
loved
good
it.
point.
Have
Yeah.
Rick Harrison
Yeah,
build
that's a
us
good
one at
point.
the meeting with Dan
Talking about.
Patrick, put some sand out back, and Stugotz will run slants forever.
Own Fritzy. I mean,
Stugotz is like, get me an Olympic court. Have the Heat get us an Olympic court. just a thorough jackass asking for more at every turn. Off the looking
Thank you.
glass. Kate Fagan and Jessica. Jessica, do you want to tell us anything we need to know about this that isn't in Kate's words? Anything that you, as the producer on this thing, have learned over the last few months putting it together and baking it with Kate?
Well, I will give some advice to the audience. Don't fast forward through anything that you may think is an ad. Also, I want nothing to do with this 3-point contest. Just please exclude me from all of this.
Because why? You have a video throwing footballs through a tire against Justin Herbert. You seem to want to do that competition. Why do you want to be excluded from this one?
Oh, well, Dan, a pigskin in the hand, that's a different game. Basketball, though, I will embarrass myself. I think that we should have a loser's bracket for me and Stugotz shooting.
Jessica, it's going to... Jessica.
Jess, I hit 6 threes and a half. It's a record of Long Island.
You were 20.
Okay, so, I mean...
No, he was like 17.
No, he was in high school. He was
you guys
20.
think I've lost my touch?
Oh, you're right. He was probably 20.
Here it is. I'm telling you, he thinks he's gonna get out there and just be raining Steph Curry threes on everybody. He thinks he's gonna win by 25 jumpers.
I do. In fact, I'll go from the NBA. You guys go from college. How about that? Deal. What's the prize?
Which is it going to be, college or pro? Because Kate thought it was college.
I'll go down. We'll go to college.
But if we're doing this at a heat facility, it's going to be right. It's going to be tough to get that line if we're doing this at a heat facility.
Tony, when you're posting your videos on Instagram, what lines?
That's
what
not
line
NBA.
are you shooting?
Those are college lines, but I obviously
Well, then stop saying you're coming down.
I'm saying, but hold on, you didn't let me finish. As you can see, on the videos,
well done.
they're actually like 7 feet behind the line.
The heavily edited videos.
They're not edited.
Okay.
Tony, come on.
Guys, you really can't. You really don't think I can shoot NBA threes?
No.
Kate, okay, hold on a second. Because Kate and I come from a same place at our previous employer at ESPN. When you went,
we all come from.
What does that mean?
Well, she was in Bristol more than you guys were. Kate, true or not true? ESPN Gym has a beautiful facility with NBA threes, correct? She froze at the most inopportune time.
No, she's just staring at you.
She's just staring at you, dumbfounded. She's not frozen in any way.
Am I back?
You're back.
Yeah.
I've never been inside the ESPN gym.
Wow.
Well, your last one.
I feel like Tony was just throwing out his bona fides. I've been prowling the Bristol campus, draining threes across a lifetime.
I have. And you know what? We can talk to Freddie Coleman. You want to call Freddie Coleman?
Oh, for the love of God.
We'll call Freddie Coleman. We'll talk to Freddie Coleman.
What are we talking about?
like
Freddie
the ESPN
Coleman
gym
about?
is
Top
full
5
of
nighttime
Tonys
radio
doing that.
host of all time. I mean,
I don't know what Kate's punishment should be if she doesn't win, but I think Tony's punishment is that he's never allowed to post another video ever
I'll
again
take that.
on social media of his wet
I'll take that.
jumper.
Well,
Kate's punishment is spending the day with Tony shooting threes, it sounds like.
That's
Yeah,
not
I
a
mean-
punishment.
There is nothing more important here than getting the stakes right on this. Is the payoff something that we want to build up over time, or do you want to hash this out now? Because it is important if you're going to make this escalate, if you're going to ask something of the audience, you're asking the audience to do something for you for off the looking glass, there needs to be a payoff. What is the pay? As we learned with that damn pepper we didn't vet, we need to get the content payoff. So tell me what it is that we have to do in stakes, because they can't be small stakes if you guys are going to talk like this and then we're going to televise it and you're going to set up the rules and it's like there have to be substantive stakes. It can't just be, hey, this is fun. Wouldn't it be cool if Kate buried arrogant Tony?
how about they play for 10,000 Meadowlark stock options?
Wow.
I mean, that is
I will pay
big.
for that.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Stugotz just throwing options around.
I'm just throwing ideas. Listen.
Dano,
you know,
I'm
The
in.
starting point.
I feel like no matter what, Kate is winning because now she gets a trip to Miami in December. Like, does she really need to win anything else?
Oh, but if she loses, there has to be stakes to coming down here. If she loses, it's got to be a decent amount of shame. Have you guys hashed out ideas, or should we leave that to the build up?
I tried to get it started. I mean, spitballing.
Are you saying she should eat another pepper?
No.
No.
That's a good idea. I like that.
No, thank you.
Spicier
No.
one.
We have another one of those.
But
meetings
Dan
next
is
week.
right. We have to come up with the stakes.
I don't think that you understand that Meadowlark stock options is not. I mean, if you want to do that, I suppose that we actually could, but I don't think that that's very entertaining to the audience. I think that they want you guys
There has to be a payoff.
to have a
Yes.
public embarrassment
You're right,
that
Dan.
entertains the audience.
Yes.
Yeah. And I don't think that Tony and I really want to be fighting for something that we genuinely desperately want. That feels That feels a little too cutthroat for me. Actual metal, and I don't think we actually take Stugotz seriously, so maybe I shouldn't even be taking this that seriously. But
you will once you see me shoot. I mean,
how about this? Loser can't celebrate Christmas.
Do you understand, Kate, that you understand that Stugotz's viewpoint on this? This wasn't coming from a competition between you and Tony. Stugotz thinks he's going to bury you. He wanted to make it for stock options so that you guys don't seem to understand the level of delusion I work with every day. You really don't. Like, Stugotz negotiated that for himself because he thinks he's going to rain down NBA threes on the two of you and then dominate Dan Patrick in beach football at the Super Bowl in an event that it gets bigger ratings than the Super Bowl itself.
How about the winner gets to co-host the Dan Patrick show? I mean, how about that?
Big.
DP. I mean.
Kate, thank you.
I say
They'll be fine with it.
Once we get the 1,000 ratings, we then come up with all of the parameters for what's going to go down in South Beach.
Very good. Kate, thank you for being on with us.
Thanks, y'all.
See you, Kate.
Well, Dan, they were at Drake's house, and Dave Chappelle was also there too. And who's who? Yeah, it was real who's who. But Kanye never posts stories on Instagram, and all of a sudden a story comes up with him and Drake, Jay Prince, Dave Chappelle, and all these guys. And it seems to be that they've buried whatever beef they've had between them, which again when you say it hasn't gone through the music, there has been some slight jabs back and forth. I know on Certified Lover Boy, there was a song called 7 a.m. on Bridal Path, which essentially Drake comes at, Ye a couple different times. Juju, let me know if that.
There was also the infamous Kiki, Do You Love Me?
Yes.
Which is specifically for Kim Kardashian. Salute to Kim Kardashian. I see you, sis. Salute to Peter, whatever, Stevenson, Pete Wentz, whoever he is. Salute to him. But yeah, Drake and Kanye. Kanye it's a hostage situation, Dano. He had a hostage video with Jay Prince. Salute to Jay Prince.
Yes,
I love you, big brother. Basically reading off a phone and saying, I love Drake. I'm sorry. Please do the concert with me on December 7th. And after he was finished, Jay Prince was like, excellent or beautiful. Whatever you said, big brother. I don't want to mix your words, big brother. Jay Prince, salute to you.
Okay, so it was a bit of a hostage video.
There was a bit of a hostage
he questions
video,
the sincerity of it.
Yes, but going back a little bit further, like he was saying about Kiki, Do You Love Me? There was a rumor, a conspiracy theory, if you might add.
Well, this is dangerous. We don't want to be doing this, Kiki. We don't want to do. We don't want to say that this is the place where the beef resides.
I'm just saying.
We have imaging. I mean,
there's all right. Play the imaging.
Not saying.
Okay.
Not saying this is where the beef resides, but
we're just saying it could have
get
started
you an Angus burger out of this section of the beef.
Exactly.
Maybe even a porterhouse. I don't know.
Okay, this is
porterhouse.
But this is the center.
Porterhouse.
This is the center. This is the center of the entire thing. Correct. Like now we're doing this whole. Did he sleep with so and so? Right? And
hold on, Dano. Nobody said that one.
But
time to throw away all journalistic credibility and get reckless. Here is something we like to call reckless speculation.
Everyone is good.
So, Calabasas. 2017, 18. Can I paint the picture for you? Hidden Hills. Okay. Drake sings a song, says, I made a left. I made another left. People have cut the lights. Right. Thank you.
Read between the lines.
What happened was this, Dan. Somebody found Drake's house in Calabasas. They also found the Kim Kardashian house in Calabasas. Okay. What he's saying is that he's taking the direct path to that place. Not saying that he did. I'm just saying that that's what the song says. Drake.
I mean.
Go ahead, Juju.
No, I was giving you.
Oh, he was giving me an Amin. Thank you for the Amin.
Yes, can I get an Amin?
Do all the rich people in LA live in a place called Pumpkins?
Yes.
I bet you most people listening to this didn't do the translation on Calabasas.
Yeah, I hadn't until now too because I always heard it as Calabasas, but that's Pumpkins.
It is. Multiple,
I told you I stayed in Calabasas years ago, and I followed the Kardashians around. They were walking their dog. I did. One of them waved to me. Yeah.
You stayed in like
Which
a
one?
gated.
Oh boy, where are the
There's the lie.
chickens? Can chickens
There's the
come
lie.
out and
There's
wrap
the
You
lie.
stayed in like a
Which
gated
one?
unit
Which
where
one
the
was it?
Kardashians
Which
Walking their
Kardashian?
dogs.
Here we go.
Walking their dogs.
He needs to get in on the
How did
story.
you?
He needs
They
to
walk their own
participate.
dogs?
Remember, I was stalking. I was outside the back.
Where are the
They
chickens? We
simply
need the
didn't wave at
chickens.
you.
Kylie
They
Jenner and
simply
Tyga.
did not wave
Yeah.
at
You
you.
didn't. Chris was waiting for the
Tyga.
lie.
Tyga
Chris
was there.
waiting for the lie, and he spotted it when you said, and they waved to me, and Chris said out loud, "There it is." There, like that's
Well,
how
it happened. I mean, I'm
that
telling
is
you right
how
now.
on to you
Ask
everybody is. Like they can now time. Ask Abby. Yes, check the stupidity tape from a year ago when Andrew Siciliano invited him on the Red Zone.
It's there. It's there. It's on tape. If you want to call Abby and ask her, she was with me. We were walking together, and one of the Kardashians, she waved to me. Now, I don't know which one.
Chicken
Okay.
side.
Nothing more. Because I would love
They didn't wave. The Kardashians didn't wave.
Mentiroso!
How did you end up in a private pumpkin residence? How are you walking around pumpkin?
security would have shot you down. Fuck back.
Tyga was there.
To Stu's defense, that's a good point. Tyga being there makes it a little bit
Thank
more
you.
legitimate.
He
Thank
just
you.
said a name.
No, but that's a good. That's a
Stugotz does not know what
legitimate pull.
Tyga looks like.
Thank you so much.
His car.
the Kardashians.
His car was in the. Thank you. His car was in the driveway, and the license plate said Tyga.
Met Rob
Hold
Kardashian.
on. Hold
Remember I
on.
went to Cal.
Hold
Okay.
on. This
we have
is
proof.
hold on.
Thank
This
you.
seems to be video and audio that has leaked into the microphones. This seems to be Stugotz making this claim at another time.
Yep.
This is
When it happened, yeah.
This is the second time that this story has been pulled out, and calabazas is how it's pronounced. You've been pronouncing it wrong all your life when you Americanize it. And it is pumpkins. And where is that sound? Why were you looking up sound that just leaked into the show, Chris?
Well, this is a revelation from a few years ago, and Stugotz claimed he met the Kardashians. So I'm just wondering if it sounds the same back then as
Go
he
ahead.
just kind of painted it right
Let's
here.
hear.
I mean, you could have lied back then, so don't take a victory lap. But here you go.
Consistency's not a
Here it
key,
is.
though.
I met Rob. I did.
You've met Rob Kardashian.
Remember I went to California last year with my family. We were.
You were hanging out with Rob Kardashian?
I was waiting with my daughter outside his house, and he just happened to come out.
Wait a minute. Wait.
We were walking the dog.
Whose dog?
My wife's cousin's dog.
Okay, I'm on it.
So, did you see Rob or you met Rob?
I said hello to Rob.
Did he say hello back?
No.
That's not a meeting.
That's not a meeting.
I also hid a couple of houses away and waited for Kylie Jenner to come out of her house.
Kylie or Kendall? Or can you tell?
It was who's dating Tyga?
That's
Thank you.
Kylie.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, but that's not a wave.
You said the Kardashians too. It was Rob in this one.
Boom.
And you were walking the dog in this one.
And then they
I
were
was walking
their
the dog. You're right. They were also walking the dog, but that was my in.
Everybody was walking
My
their
in was
dogs.
the dog. Hey, my dog wants to play with your dog. That was the end. That little conversation, a
In
wave.
for
See
what?
you later.
What's
Yeah.
the end game?
The end game was just to say hello. I mean,
Get him on stupidity.
yeah.
Are you guys done with the Drake beef, or can you finish? Can you explain? Is there any more? Are there any more morsels here
Zone, Kylie.
to be gathered?
As DJ Michael Ryan has put in the chat, it definitely started back in the day with Pusha T. You know what I
Ooh,
mean?
yes.
Pusha T
Yeah.
was reckless when it came to Drake. He announced his baby that he didn't even know what was claiming. He also
Honest.
brought up the picture of Drake when he was in blackface. I saw the picture. Salute to Drake. I see you guys, but that was a scam. It was a gaffe on your record, sir. But
Are we
that was,
saluting him for that?
I mean, I'm not saluting the blackface, no, sir. I'm saluting the camp for getting it together and cleaning that up, because that was a big bummer. Holy smokes. But also, Drake, transition, please. Drake did the Andre 3000. He put the Andre 3000 verse out.
An unreleased verse at that, Dan.
Yes. And that was supposed to be on Donda, which I did not get through because it was 1,000 songs. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 13 times, I don't care about Donda. So that and him popping up in stadiums, with a mask on his face. Yeah, get him out of here. Salute to Kanye. But that's pretty much my beef.
There was there's another wrinkle to this too, and Kanye West had dropped Drake's address to his mansion in Toronto, and he did not like that either. I don't know if I would like somebody just dropping my address to millions of followers online. You think people showed up to his house?
Yes, absolutely. As a person who salute to Don West before I even get to that. But yes, I believe that if people can call my job and get me fired, measly me, I'm pretty sure they was shooting them down at the Calabasas entrance, trying to climb over the fence, Generation Z style for Drake's house.
I was there. I went to Drake's house.
Yes, he was hiding in the shadows. So is the beef over? Is it now over?
Ceremonially over, Dan.
Absolutely
I think it's ceremonially
not,
over.
Dano. I don't believe it. Absolutely not, Dano. The beef has just begun. Keep your enemies closer and keep Kanye as far as you can out of your house. I don't know why he did it last night, but we're going to see. Stay tuned. David Sampson, I see you. Wait to see.
Salute to David Sampson.
Salute to David Sampson.
Larry Hoover concert is what they're doing together. So they wanted to.
You mentioned an unreleased verse, but you heard it.
Well, no.
Released by Pusha T, he's saying.
Okay.
Released by Drake as a retaliation.
If it gets released
to Kanye.
Andre 3000 did a song and it was spectacular, but he recorded the song and it had curse words in it, and he didn't have the original recording, so he couldn't go back and edit it. So Kanye wanted Donda to be kind of a Christian. It's a Christian album. Well,
there are no curses in the album whatsoever.
Exactly. But he cut that from the album because it wasn't with what he wanted to go. And so Drake released it. Also, side note, transition. I would beat all y'all in the 3-point contest.
That is not true. Come down. Have him come down. Have him come down.
I was performing one time. I was performing one time at a high school. A ball came up to me. I shot it while I was performing, made it, and kept performing.
Wow. Where were you performing?
Amazing.
Where on the court
Amazing.
were you?
I was in the middle of the court.
Wow, half court.
Half court shot. Wow.
That was a free throw. It was a free throw.
My money's on you, Juju. Me and you versus Kate and 10-Day Tony. How about that?
Juju, you killed it. Juju, you killed it at Moss. You killed it. You showed up. You showed up late, fashionably late, and you were the biggest energy in the building by a lot.
Thank you, sir. And salute to that DJ who couldn't get it right for a second, but got it right after we had a Stern talking to. I salute you, brother. Salute to Eric as well. Oh, my goodness. Valerie, I see you. Happy anniversary.
Juju, I love you.
Juju's got to come down too. And I imagine Ryan Cortez is going to be coming down in sunglasses.
Does Ryan Cortez shoot threes?
Yeah, in sunglasses.
Only in sunglasses. I want to know if Ryan Cortez, he should come out and.
Salute to Ryan Cortez, but those sunglasses are a no thank you, sir. I'm going to get my boy some Gucci's or some Louis or something. We get money now.
Those are not it.
No, sir. Those are gas station Supremes.
What's wrong with that?
I love you guys.
Love you, man.
Salute to you, Juju.